Chapter 1029 Hanliang Empire's Cultivator. Chapter 1029 Hanliang Empire's Cultivator Yemo took out the Mist Lotus Heart Fire and then the Fire Lotus Heart. What shook him was that before he even put the two together, the flame reached out and swept the Flame Lotus Heart inside. Before Yemo could react, the Mist Lotus Heart Fire on his hand suddenly became volatile. That terrifying heat made Silver run very far away. Shadowless noticed this even earlier and was long gone. Yemo was worried and tried to suppress it, but found that the flame didn't really explode. The power of the flame was increasing rapidly. Luckily, his spirit controlled this flame. If he didn't, then even if he was nascent soul state power, he wouldn't be able to suppress the power. The heaven flame was really powerful. This heaven flame was only orange color. 2 hours later, Yemo felt the searing heat gradually dissipate and that feeling of absolute control returned. Yemo noticed that the Mist Lotus Heart Fire wasn't orange anymore, it was red. It had been upgraded indeed. Yemo could feel the terrifying power of the Mist Lotus Heart Fire. Luckily it was his own, or he really wouldn't know how to defend against it in an attack. He put away the fire and started organizing Tian Alfing's storage ring. The bead containing the lightning source was very powerful and clean. It did indeed have the spirit sense mark of a powerful being. Yemo chose to leave it on the side for the moment. Even though he was in the Golden Page world, he had to be careful. Other than this, Yemo's greatest acquirement wasn't the 5 million top-grade spirit stones, but the Great Transmission Rune and lightning-style attack ability. Yemo lacked a lightning-style attack ability. Without this ability, he wouldn't be able to create his own using the 3 birth chant. Tian Alfing was a lightning spirit root and came from the 9-star lightning cloud sect. This lightning-style attack ability only had the cultivation method for hollow spirit state cultivators and below, but that was enough for Yemo. This ability was called 11 lightning swords. Once perfected, one could use 11 lightning swords. These lightning swords got stronger the higher your power was. This cultivation method was very important for Yemo. If he could use 11 lightning swords at the same time, it would be stronger than the divine damnation. At this moment, Yemo realized why Ao Tianfeng could use so many lightning arcs. He was only golden core state power, so he wasn't able to use multiple lightning bolts himself, but he borrowed the power of the lightning bead to do it. However, although the blue lightning's attack power was a bit weak for Yemo, other golden core state cultivators might not be able to survive it. Yemo cultivated the lightning style ability very quickly. Other than this, he didn't use the extra time for cultivation. He instead used it to study the 5-element mobility as well as Purple Eye Soul Sever and Illusion Cloud 5th Strike. He was at the peak of Nascent Soul State Level 2 and could reach Level 3 at any time, but he wouldn't be able to reach Nascent Soul State Middle Stage in a short time. So instead of doing that, he might as well use the time to cultivate his battle techniques and escape means. The Illusion Cloud 5th Strike was completely different than the other 4 strikes as the 5th strike was derived from formations. Yemo could use different attack formations to derive different Illusion Cloud formation kill strikes. So Illusion Cloud 5th Strike wasn't a set move. As for the Purple Eye Soul Sever, Yemo was on the 2nd level and could partially sever people's spirit sense that they sent out and injure their soul. However, Yemo felt something wasn't right. Theoretically, Purple Eye Soul Sever was just a spirit sense attack mean. It wasn't a cultivation method for improving spirit sense. The Purple Eye Soul Sever's power depended on the power of the spirit sense. As for a real spirit sense cultivation method, even though Yemo had the 3 birth chant, he wasn't able to create one as he had never seen one before. Time flew by in cultivation. When he woke up from cultivation again, half a year had already passed. Yemo was surprised. He was only planning to cultivate for a month or 2, and then check on Mou City's progress. When he came out from the Golden Page world and scanned the city with his spirit sense, he saw Mou City busy under construction and breathed easy. Soon, he was overjoyed to find that the city was showing its general structure already. Everyone was busy building the new city. It seemed that Yi Wucai had used the gold very well. Yemo's spirit sense scanned over Yi Wucai and found that he was greeting a guest in the City Lord estate. That guest was a nascent soul state primary stage cultivator. Clearly, this cultivator had come for him. There was impatience on his face. If he wasn't concerned about Yimo, he would have long ago broken out in a fit of rage. Yi Wucai wiped the sweat from his forehead and said worriedly, "Immortal master, my master is in solitary cultivation. If we call him like this, it will affect his cultivation." Yi Wucai didn't know what the consequences of the interruption would be, but his master already told him not to find him if there wasn't anything urgent. His master gave him so many gold coins to build the city. If he still went to disturb his master, wouldn't his master feel he was useless? The nascent soul state cultivator frowned and said, "I've waited for 3 days. Do you plan to keep me waiting? The empire is busy. How can I stay for so long at such dual leaf city?" Before Yi Wucai could reply, Yimo's voice sounded out. "There is no more dual leaf city. This is MOU city. Yi Wucai, do what you need to do. Leave me to deal with this. MOU city is developing well. You can increase the workers' wages to make them work faster." "Master, you're here." Yi Wucai cried with joy and then immediately replied, "Yes, master. I will build MOU city to be the most beautiful city." Then, Yi Wucai quickly left. There was too much pressure facing a nascent soul state cultivator. Even though the cultivator didn't intentionally release his power, he felt he couldn't take it. When he came to the door, however, the pressure was gone. He knew that his master's pressure had overtaken that of the nascent soul state cultivator and felt even more assured. That nascent soul state got up immediately after feeling Yimo's power. His spirit sense scanned onto Yimo and found that he couldn't sense Yimo's power at all. He immediately began to sweat. He felt lucky he didn't do anything bad, but was also shocked at the same time. This cultivator was so young and had such power. Clearly, he was at least nascent soul state middle stage. Knowing that Yimo's real power was nascent soul state tertiary stage, this nascent soul state primary stage quickly saluted with his fists. "Hanliang Empire's Yushamping greets City Lord Yi. Please forgive me for coming here to interrupt you." Yimo's solitary cultivation resulted in great progress in both the Illusion Cloud Strike and Purple Eye Soul Sever. His power also increased from nascent soul state level 2 to level 3. When he saw that this person was only nascent soul state level 2, he raised his power to the max, crushing the cultivator from a psychological standpoint. Yimo sneered, acting as though he was bad-tempered, and said coldly, "Were you forcing my disciple just now? If my disciple didn't call me over, were you planning to do something?" "No, I wouldn't dare to," Yushamping quickly replied. Yimo sat down and said, "MOU city will be my city from now on. If the Empire is still confused about this, I will go to the capital to sort things out." Chapter 1030. 10 Secret Realms, Truth Fall Palace. Chapter 1030. 10 Secret Realms, Truth Fall Palace. Yushamping thought, "No matter how strong you are, you're too young. You're at most nascent soul state tertiary stage. How can an empire exist without power? Do you think I'm the only nascent soul state cultivator? Plus, which nascent soul state would have 0 ambitions like you, robbing this barren land devoid of spirit chi?" But Yushamping said nicely, "The emperor knew that MOU city had a new owner and sent me over to see and develop future relations. From now on, MOU city's city lord will be City Lord Yi. Besides that, I'm also here for another thing." Yimo heard this and knew that Yushamping wasn't planning to take back MOU city after seeing his power. He sighed. High power was indeed useful. He said he was going to take this city, and the immortal master of the empire agreed, without even waiting for the consent of the emperor. This was the first time Yimo felt the benefits of high power. Yimo knew that the world's order was built on the foundation of power. If his power was weaker than them, MOU city would no longer belong to him the next moment. Although the cultivators were contemptuous of MOU city now, if he planted the spirit range under the city and set up a spirit gathering formation, then there would be plenty of cultivators who would fight over this place. Due to this, before he had enough power, Yimo could only set up a defense formation. Yimo didn't stay aggressive and asked, "What other business does Dao Friend have? I've just thought of this after seeing how young City Lord Yi is. Have you heard of the Truthfall Palace?" Yushamping asked. He paused and answered for Yimo, "I believe you definitely know about Truthfall Palace, being a nascent soul state cultivator." His last words were testing to see if Yimo was really a nascent soul state cultivator, but Yimo didn't show any expression. Yu Xiaoping could think whatever he liked. Yimo had heard of the Truthfall Palace, of course, both in this life and his past life. Truthfall Palace was a secret realm of the Luo Yu continent that had a very high fatality rate. It opened every 30 years and had no power level limits. As long as you weren't older than 100 years, you could go in. Very few sects allowed disciples below Golden Core State to go. Most were Golden Core State, and a small portion were Nascent Soul State. Of course, there were a few prodigies who reached Hollow Spirit State in under 100 years. Such cultivators would enter the Truthfall Palace for sure. Even at Hollow Spirit State, however, they might not be able to survive. Other than the fights between cultivators, there were dangerous areas that were lethal. But Yimo knew that people like him who didn't have a sect to rely on were unable to go in no matter how much of a genius they were. This wasn't the desert herb plain. The requirements to go in was to belong to at least a 5-star sect. Ordinary people wouldn't even be able to go in. Yimo didn't say that, however. He wanted to see if Yu Xiaoping was trying to trick him. Yimo thought that no matter how powerful the empire was, they wouldn't be able to get a spot to go in the Truthfall Palace. If they really could, then they were equivalent to 5-star sect. Yu Xiaoping saw that Yimo didn't speak, so he continued, "The empire is not small, but it's only a 4-star empire. Before, a 4-star empire wouldn't have the right to go in, but last year, we found a rare fire seed, Lawn Rock Fire. The empire reported this to the Green Pill sect." Lawn Rock Fire? The rank 7th Heaven Flame? Yimo asked in shock. That Green Pill sect also sounded familiar. Soon, Yimo remembered it was a 7-star sect. Chiu Shui from the South P State 10 beauties came from there. Yu Xiaoping smiled. It seems City Lord Yi is very familiar with the rare flames. That's right, Lawn Rock Fire is ranked 7th amongst the Heaven Flames. It's renowned in the entire cultivation realm. The Green Pill sect was also very happy and decided to give 2 spots for the Truthfall Palace to the Empire. If the Empire could get good results there, meaning people coming back safely, the sect will help the Empire cultivate a Hollow Spirit State cultivator, letting the Empire upgrade to a 5-star empire. Yimo was initially suspicious, but after hearing the words Lawn Rock Fire, he believed them. 2 spots for the Truthfall Palace was nothing compared to this. Yu Xiaoping continued, "The reason I brought this up was because I see City Lord Yi is so young. You're probably under 100 years, right? City Lord Yi is also Nascent Soul State cultivator, right? Then that means you're very suitable to go in." Yimo nodded. He wanted this spot badly, but he wasn't blinded by greed. Why would the Empire give it to him? He had killed a member of the royal family. City Lord Yi is really younger than 100 years? Yu Xiaoping suddenly got up seeing this. He was very excited. Big sects had Nascent Soul State and even Hollow Spirit State younger than 100 years old, but the Empire didn't have any. Recommending a Nascent Soul State into the Truthfall Palace. If his recommendation survived, he would get very good benefits. Yimo laughed. He was far from 100 years old, but he didn't say that as it would catch the attention of the big sects for sure. "City Lord Yi, if you're willing to represent the Empire to enter the Truthfall Palace, then I will help you at all costs. And I believe that if the Emperor knows that you're willing to represent the Empire, he would be willing to give you more cities," Yu Xiaoping said in excitement. Yimo was speechless. Give him more cities? Did this guy think he wanted to be a local king? The power in the cultivation realm didn't depend on how many cities you had. Those 9-star sects all only took land within a 10,000-kilometer radius around their sect. Any empire would have much more land than that, but which country dared to fight with a 9-star sect? "I'm willing to go. But why are you so fervent, Dao friend you?" Yimo asked. Yu Xiaoping calmed down a little and said with some embarrassment, "I've cultivated for a few centuries and only then did I reach Nascent Soul State level 2. If I don't come across any fortunes, I will be stuck here forever. The Green Pill sect is a 7-star sect. They promised if one survives from the Truthfall Palace, then they would help the Empire prepare 2 Hollow Spirit State cultivators. If 2 survive, then they would prepare 3 Hollow Spirit States for the sect." Pausing for a moment, Yu Xiaoping gave Yimo a top-grade attack spirit artifact and said, "If City Lord can really come out from the Truthfall Palace, you will become an inner sect member of the Green Pill sect for sure." I just want you to recommend me so I can go in too. So this was it. Clearly, entry into a 7-star sect was irresistible for a nascent soul state cultivator like Yu Shamping. Emo pushed the top-grade spirit artifact back and said, I have my own magic artifact. You can keep it, brother Yu. As for the spot, if I can go into the Truthfall Palace, I won't take the hollow spirit state spot. It's all yours. Huh. Yu Shamping almost fainted from this huge fortune. If City Lord Yi came out from the Truthfall Palace, then means he would get to decide who became hollow spirit state. Although he didn't know why City Lord Yi didn't want it, Yu Shamping didn't ask. Clearly, Emo didn't want to go into the Green Pill sect, and so he didn't need to ask. City Lord Yi had such a powerful temperament. If he was a little careful inside, he would most likely make it out. Brother Yu? When does the Truthfall Palace open? When do I go? Emo asked. It will open in half a year's time, but you need to come with me to the Empire's capital first, Yu Shamping happily replied. Chapter 1031. Here to assert dominance. Chapter 1031. Here to assert dominance, brother Yu. I still have some things to deal with at MOU City. You can go back first. I will get to the capital within 2 months. Emo didn't know how long it would take for him to get back from the Truthfall Palace. Yi Wucai was his disciple, and he hadn't taught him anything yet. This journey was going to be long, so he had to teach Yi Wucai cultivation and set up a formation at MOU City. Yu Shamping didn't say much and just left behind a contact bead. He went back to Zhuliang City first. He had to report Emo's matters quickly. He had a good status in the capital, but there were 4 nascent soul state cultivators there. He needed someone to support him. If Emo wanted to go to the Green Pill sect too, his proposal would have been a bit hard, but now Emo said he didn't want to go. If Emo succeeded, that meant the sect would take 2 disciples from the Empire. His suggestions would get support from another person. After Yu Shamping left, Emo called Yi Wucai over. Yi Wucai was a 3-element mixed spirit root, but metal spirit root was the main spirit root. Emo gave him a cultivation method derived from his 3-birth chant. Emo called it 3-birth gung metal chant. At the same time, Emo made a 5-essence pill for Yi Wucai. This pill would make his spirit root more pure. Yi Wucai just received Emo's tutelage and didn't want to waste any time at all. He focused on cultivation. He didn't need to be there personally for MOU City's construction. He would only go there during his spare time. Emo started teaching Yi Wucai for a month while setting up the defense formation. Because Emo had limited high-level materials and MOU City was too big, he could only barely set up a level 4 defense and level 3 attack formation. But the level 4 formation was enough to deal with Golden Core state cultivators, much less those mortal armies. A month later, Yi Wucai could cultivate by himself. Emo left behind some cultivation notes and handed over all things in MOU City to Yi Wucai before heading to Zhuliang City. Zhuliang City was only 10,000 kilometers away, so Emo arrived the same day he left. But this distance was huge for an emperor, and that's why MOU City wasn't taken seriously. But Emo didn't know that MOU City being given out and the deal with him and Yu Shamping had nothing to do with the Empire. Just when he arrived at the city, Yu Shamping came out to greet him. Clearly, he cared more about Emo going into the Truthfall Palace than even Emo did. This time, Emo didn't hide his power. When Yu Shamping saw Emo's power, he was dazed, saying, City Lord Yi, your stealth cultivation method is too good. I thought you were at least nascent soul state middle stage. Emo smiled. Is brother Yu disappointed that my power level isn't high? Yu Shamping quickly waved his hand. No, it's already beyond what I expected. To be honest, I thought you were nascent soul state middle stage or tertiary stage before, and I was really defeated. I'm still defeated now, but I feel better than before. Okay, City Lord Yi, I'll show you the rest of the Dao friends in the Empire as well as the Emperor. The Emperor came to greet Emo personally and held a welcome ceremony for him. At the ceremony, Emo realized that he wasn't completely correct when he thought he could take the Empire on easily. There were 4 nascent soul state cultivators at the Empire and no golden core state cultivators came to the ceremony. However, he knew that there was 1 golden core state tertiary stage cultivator going to the Truthfall Palace with him. Yu Shamping and 1 guy named Rome were nascent soul state primary stage, Another one was nascent soul state middle stage, and the last one was nascent soul state level 8. They clearly weren't afraid of Emo, but wanted Emo to represent them in the Truth Fall Palace. The nascent soul state level 8 cultivator was called Gulian, who was very hospitable to Emo and kept drinking to this nascent soul state level 3. That Chi Zifeng nascent soul state middle stage cultivator and the Rong nascent soul state primary stage weren't very hospitable to Emo, but weren't overly cold either. From this, Emo could tell that the partner Yu Shamping got was Gulian. If he could get out from the Truthfall Palace, then it would benefit him and Gulian. But this was reasonable. Gulian was the strongest, so of course Yu Shamping would get help from him. But Emo could also tell that although the emperor set up this ceremony and the nascent soul state cultivators were rather respectful to the emperor, it was just the superficial side of things. They decided many things on their own. Clearly, they were here for another reason. A lot of beautiful women wearing explosive clothing danced erotically. Emo sighed. Although the emperor only lived for a few decades, these few decades were much more enjoyable than the lives of most cultivators. A cultivator could live very long, but if he came out of solitary cultivation after a few centuries and died, he wouldn't have even lived as comfortably as the emperor. These were the pros and cons of life. The emperor was probably used to nascent soul state cultivators, and so was just respectful to Emo but didn't seem scared. Emo and the nascent soul state cultivators chatted for a moment, and the emperor took his eyes back from the erotic dance and smiled at Emo. City Lord Yi, Dual River City belongs to you now. I can give you a few more cities if you want. Now that you're representing our empire to go to the Truthfall Palace, why not just join our immortal master yard? What do you think? City Lord Yi, I can take back the city when I give it to others, but I promise for you that I won't take it back. Emo's face sunk, and he instantly let out his power. A mere chi-gathering cultivator. So what if he was an emperor? How dare he say he gave him the Dual River City? There won't be a Dual River City from now on. Only Mou City. You're the emperor of the empire? I ask you to remember that I took Mou City myself. It has nothing to do with anyone and nothing to do with the Hanliang Empire. Don't make things difficult for yourself. Emo got up suddenly. His cold voice and temperament charged out, infusing the entire hall with fierce, killing intent. He had to assert his dominance. If he didn't clear up this matter and left Mou City, the emperor could say that the city belonged to him and it would cause a lot of disruptions. When he planted the spirit range into Mou City and cultivators desired the city, they would use this loophole to make the empire take the city back. Then, he wouldn't stand ground on reason. Even though power ruled over all in this world, he had to stand ground on reason. The emperor was just a chi-gathering cultivator. How could he defend against Emo's power? He immediately spat out blood. Feeling Emo's power, even Gul Yin was shocked. This city lord Yu was so powerful. Even he might not be able to release such power. Was he really just a nascent soul state level 3 cultivator? Gul Yin didn't say anything. No matter what Emo did, he was benefiting from it. The reason they stayed at the empire was because the royal family had a nascent soul state cultivator too, but he was always in cultivation. The second reason was that they didn't need to go out to find cultivation resources. The empire provided it all for them. But he was a little annoyed at Emo and the emperor. The emperor was only a chi-gathering disciple. Why are you talking about giving in front of a nascent soul state cultivator? And that city lord Yi, you're already a nascent soul state, and you know he's just trying to satisfy his mouth. Can't you pretend he said nothing? Even if the emperor didn't mention it, Emo was going to bring it up. He could see that deep in his eyes. This emperor was no ordinary guy. Perhaps he was really planning to take back the city in the future. Gulian and Yu Shamping didn't speak up. That Rongzheng nascent soul state level 1 was too weak and didn't speak either. But the nascent soul state level 5 Chi Zifeng got up and stared coldly at Emo. City Lord Yi, are you here to assert your dominance? Chapter 1032. Prosperous City. Chapter 1032. Prosperous City. Emo sneered and raised his power even higher, but this time, it was all directed towards Chi Zifeng. Chi Zifeng was nascent soul state level 5 power, but he was only an ordinary nascent soul state level 5. Even elite nascent soul state level 5 cultivators might not be able to stop this. Qi Zifang was forced back by Yimo's power and looked at Yimo in horror. Even Gu Yin and the others were startled. Yimo was only a mere nascent soul state level 3, but forced back Qi Zifang with his temperament. Yimo was definitely a genius. The emperor spat blood and sat on the ground with a pale face. He didn't dare to look at Yimo again, but only he knew what he was thinking. Gulian felt good seeing that Qi Zifang was scared. This Qi Zifang came from the Qi family of the empire, and because he had a hollow spirit state family member, he wasn't very respectful to him. But Gulian knew that he mustn't let the two fight. He quickly got up and said, "Everyone, that was just a big misunderstanding. I think we just need to explain it. How about this? The emperor can announce to the empire that MOU City will have no connections with the Hanliang Empire anymore. MOU City just belongs to City Lord Yi. City Lord Yi doesn't need to fuss over such small matters either." Yimo was waiting for this and took back his aura. He then glared coldly at the emperor. The emperor quickly got up and said, Okay, that's fine. I'll make this announcement immediately." Qi Zifang didn't say anything. If he fought with Yimo, he should win, but if he lost, then he would have no face to stay here anymore. He belonged to the Qi family, but the Qi family was only an ordinary cultivation family. They only had a hollow spirit state cultivator who was always in solitary cultivation. Seeing that the emperor agreed, Yimo nodded. "In that case, I'll be leaving." Then he turned and left. Seeing Yimo leave, Gulian and Yu Shamping quickly followed. Qi Zifang felt ashamed and left as well. Rongzheng comforted the emperor and left. When everyone left, the emperor waved his hand in anger and shooed away the dancers. He then said with a green face, "A bunch of untamed wolves. I feed you, and you don't even do anything. You give up my city so easily. When my long family Qianbei comes out, it will be the time for all of you to pay. Yi, you think you deserve the city? One day you will pay for your stupidity." Yimo didn't go very far before Gulian called out from behind, "City Lord Yi, please wait a moment." Yimo stopped. When the two got close to him, Yimo saluted with his fists. "Brother Gu, Brother Yu, I apologize for losing control at the hall." Gulian was a little contemptuous. A nascent soul state cultivator wasn't able to control his own emotions? Who would believe that? But he still smiled and saluted with his fists. "City Lord, you probably heard from Dao Friend you about the Green Pill sect. I'll thank you first here." Yimo nodded. "What are you talking about, Brother Gu? That's what you rightfully deserve." Yu Shamping intervened. "City Lord Yi, Dao Friend Gu and I are here today firstly to thank you, but also to tell you that there are less than 5 months until the Truthfall Palace opens. Before people go in, many cultivators gather at the Truthfall City. 90% of the nascent soul state geniuses go there. During this time, there will be all sorts of cultivators discussing Dao and battles between geniuses. There might be a lot of spirit herbs and materials that you won't usually see." Gulian nodded. "Dao Friend you and I both want to go see this event. We have no right to discuss the Dao with others, but it's beneficial for us to listen in. Plus, we can see the fights between the geniuses of the big sections. If City Lord Yi isn't busy, we can go there together." Yimo was interested, just from hearing about the countless items being sold there. He always needed cultivation resources. He had an abundance of spirit stones now. If he could get more cultivation resources in Truthfall City, why not go? So the three agreed to go there together. The Golden Core State Cultivator came as well. The group was quite harmonious on the way. Yimo also learnt a lot of things he didn't know from Gulian and Yu Shamping. He knew about the death of Tian Alfing, but on the Golden Core State Trial Tablet, Xiao Fei beat Fang Zhongshi for 3 days before he was beaten by Fang Zhongshi again. Other than that, Xiao Fei was put 1 spot down again by a woman. He became 13th and that woman became 12th. Yimo wasn't planning to ask, but he heard that woman was from the Black Ice sect, so he asked about her. He found out that the woman was called Zhaorong, a core disciple of the Black Ice sect. This wasn't the most exciting. The most exciting part was that 3 days later, another cultivator went on the trial tablet and kicked Fang Zhongshi down from 11th. "Who is it?" Yimo asked out of curiosity. 9-star sect Godwind Valley's core disciple Emoji Tan. That guy is only 24 years old. Yu Shamping exclaimed. Even Yimo felt that Emojitan was overly powerful. He was only 24 but about to reach nascent soul state. Clearly, these people went to leave their names before breaking through to nascent soul state in preparation for the Truth Fall Palace. He also knew that two more powerful women got onto the trial tablet. One was Infinity Sect's One Sai. Another was Clear Dream Mosque's Ling Xiaoshuang. When she first got on the tablet, she was 23rd, but 10 days later she had fallen to 33rd. From this, one could see how intense the competition was. When he arrived at Truthfall City, Yimo realized what busy really meant. This city was like a marketplace. There were too many people. There were even a lot of Golden Core State and Hollow Spirit State cultivators. Occasionally, one could even see one or two Body Condensation State cultivators. City Lord Yi, we've arranged our accommodations. The Green Pill Sect has prepared us 4 rooms. They're in Siphon Hotel. Should we go there first? Yu Shamping asked. He paused before saying, Brother Gu and I will be going to the Dao discussion podium to hear the South P State geniuses discussing the Dao. Let's go together. Yimo immediately said, Brother Gu, you guys can go around first. I'll come back at night. Gulian nodded, and the 4 split up at the city. Yimo had little time. His 1-minute cultivating was almost equivalent to 2 minutes. He wasn't going to stay with Gulian and them since he had to go to the marketplace to see if there were spirit herbs he needed. As for the Dao discussion scene, Yimo felt that collecting resources was more important. He could check it out later. He had a lot of spirit stones now, but to Yimo, it was important to change them into what he needed. He still needed a new set of armor after the last one broke in the Divine Damnation. Yimo came to the marketplace and saw countless stalls. This was true prosperity. He hoped that MOU City would have this sort of prosperity in the future. There were huge amounts of spirit herbs and materials, but few high-level ones. Yimo bought what he needed and what the city would need too. In a short time, Yimo had spent a few 100,000 top-grade spirit stones. He didn't find anything especially good, but he bought in large quantities. Yimo walked into a rather large forgery shop. He wanted to see if there were good armors here. There were a lot of people here, so he didn't get the service he had received at Udao Magic Artifacts. Yimo didn't even go upstairs and was attracted by a material on the first floor. It wasn't a high-level material, at most level 4. It was a pale blue string. Yimo immediately thought of the blue moon or in his storage ring. It would be perfect to use this to make a few necklaces for Luoing and the others. Give me this, I'll take it. Show me this. A voice said the same time as Yimo. Chapter 1033. Flirt with a Nun. Chapter 1033. Flirt with a Nun. Yimo pointed at the blue strand and spoke, but he heard a crisp female voice saying the same thing. Yimo turned around and saw a beautiful face. It was a nun dressed in white. Judging by where she pointed, he knew that she also wanted the strand. Yimo didn't have to have this string. Since she liked it too, he would go elsewhere. Before Yimo left, the nun suddenly looked at him and said, I seem to know you. You've appeared somewhere before. I have a familiar feeling. Her words shook Yimo. He had never seen this nun before. How did she feel he was familiar? Yimo feared being recognized a lot right now. If he was recognized, he would be finished. Just when Yimo wanted to slip away, he heard a voice from the second floor say, Xiaoshuang, hurry up. Xiaoshuang? Yimo also felt this name was familiar. He looked at this nun and saw that she was nascent soul state level 1. Clearly she just broke through to nascent soul state. Such a young nascent soul state level 1 cultivator? Yimo thought of the Ling Xiaoshuang from Clear Dream Mosque. This woman must be that Ling Xiaoshuang. Yimo's thoughts continued rapidly, and immediately he knew why she felt he was familiar. This woman must have gotten to the trial tablet right after him. Only then would she remember his chi, and might even think that the person who went to the trial before her was him. Yimo knew he failed, but there were still a few people at the square that night. Although the Lightning Cloud sect wouldn't take notice of a failure like him, Yimo was sure that the reason he failed was not because of his power being insufficient. If this woman could feel the power he left behind, she might suspect him. 9-star sects like hers would have close connections. He couldn't let her be suspicious at all. Otherwise, if she told the Lightning Cloud sect, he was done for. Yimo's guess was right. The reason that Ling Xiaoshuang felt Yimo was familiar was because she felt a sliver of his power. But she couldn't think of why she felt this man was familiar. Yimo thought of this and immediately stared at her chest, then her face, and then her stomach. If she wasn't wearing Dao robes, his eyes would have rested on her legs. Ling Xiaoshuang saw that Yimo looked at her with such lecherous eyes and immediately threw that sense of familiarity away. She was about to burst into rage. But before she said anything, Yimo wiped the drool from his mouth and murmured, "Such a pretty nun." Suddenly, it seemed he realized his mistake and smiled lecherously at Ling Xiaoshuang. "You're so pretty. Were you talking to me before?" "I'm Ning Xiaoma. Oh, you like this material, it's fine. I'll buy it for you." Then, Yimo kept staring at her with perverse eyes and called, attendant, hurry up and come. I want to buy something." Ling Xiaoshuang's face was pale with fury. She glared at Yimo coldly and left. She immediately knew that her sense of familiarity was wrong. How could she be familiar with someone like that? Seeing that Ling Xiaoshuang turned around with speaking, Yimo quickly called out, "Girl, don't be in a rush to leave. We can go to the Dao discussion social together. Say one more word and I will dig your eyes out." Ling Xiaoshuang didn't want to talk, but the nun at the staircase wasn't easy to mess with. "Brother, you've got balls. Do you know who that nun was?" Clear Dream Mosque's Ling Xiaoshuang. "You dare to flirt with her? Watch out for your head." Another nascent soul state primary stage cultivator walked up to Yimo and said, "Huh." Yimo wiped the sweat from his forehead in shock. His shock was fake, but the sweat was real. If Ling Xiaoshuang recognized he was Yimo, then he would really be in danger. After the attendant came, Yimo quickly took out the spirit stones and bought the strings before leaving. He didn't dare to go upstairs. It was best to not show up at this place. Seeing that Yimo ran away without daring to say anything, everyone laughed. Yimo just wanted to go back to where he was staying in case someone else saw him. Yimo just came to Siphon Hotel and saw Yu Shamping and Gulian walk out. Yu Shamping saw Yimo and immediately called out in joy, "City Lord Yi, Brother Gu and I will be going to the Dao discussion podium. Let's go together. I heard that Black Ice sect Zhaorong is going there too." Yu Shamping seemed to know that Yimo was interested in this Zhaorong and reminded him. He didn't expect to have really said the right thing. If Yu Shamping didn't bring up Zhaorong, Yimo might really not go. But since Zhaorong was going, Luoying might go as well. Thinking about this, Yimo immediately said, "Okay, I'll go have a look too." They just got near the Dao discussion stage and heard some ruckus. A nascent soul state level 3 was hacked off the stage and fell into the crowd. He spat some blood and crawled up before running off. Yimo just noticed that there was a nascent soul state level 1 cultivator on the stage, yet he could beat a nascent soul state level 3 to the point of spitting blood. Soon, Yimo realized he knew this person. When he was at the herb plane, the two fought over the purple flower fire. This guy was Infinity Sect's Dong Wuya. He was Golden Core State peak stage at the time, but now he was a nascent soul state cultivator too. His cultivation essence was stable. This guy was Golden Core State Hall of Fame number 4 at the time. Yu Shamping introduced to Yimo, "This is Dong Wuya, Infinity Sect's core disciple, ranked 17th on the trial tablet." Dong Wuya. Young Master Dong is so powerful. Wuya Qian Bei. Dong Wuya looked around and saluted with his fists. The Infinity Sect's ideology is freedom of will. Although that friend is 2 levels higher than me, he didn't fight with a free will. Instead, he feared me. Therefore, he was kicked off the stage. We cultivators are pursuing the Tao, then why fear? The crowd erupted at these words. Yimo sneered. This was bullshit. Dong Wuya, he was only nascent soul state level 1, but his cultivation essence was more powerful than that nascent soul state level 3 cultivator. This was due to his talent and cultivation method. But since he won, he could say whatever he liked. Yimo scanned this place with his spirit sense and didn't find Luoying. As for Zhaorong, he didn't even know who that was. Infinity Sect Dong Wuya is waiting here. Would any other friend like to give me a few pointers? Dong Wuya stood and said, "This is too boring," Yimo murmured. Gulian laughed. Boring? If you knew what the prizes for the top 10 prize were, then you wouldn't think it's boring. Each time the Truthfall Palace opens, The city gives huge rewards to those cultivators who participate in the Tao discussion. The top 10 would get at least a low-grade Tao artifact. I heard that one time the first even got a hollow meridian pill. Who would reject such a prize? Yu Shomping nodded. Yes, even if you can't get into the top 10, being on the stage is a symbol of power. Even if you don't get the reward, being able to discuss the Tao with those geniuses is very beneficial. Plus, the stage does not allow killing, so most cultivators are willing to try. However, Gulian said that first prize was given only once, so clearly the pill wasn't given every time. However, Yimo knew that he couldn't show off now, or he would be monitored. The Infinity Sect has made quite big news lately. The other day, the core disciple Yuan Guanan reached the Nascent Soul State trial tablet with Nascent Soul State Level 4 power. His name spread across the South Peace State. Now, there's Dong Wuya and Wen Sai. Gulian let out a sigh. Chapter 1034. It's actually her. Chapter 1034. It's actually her. Yimo had heard of this Wen Sai many times. She was ranked as the first-ranked beauty in South Peace State along with Susu. Yu Shomping said, I heard that this Dong Wuya likes Wen Sai, but she isn't interested in him at all. Wen Sai only likes her martial brother, the #1 genius of the Infinity Sect, Yuan Guanan. Yimo hadn't seen Wen Sai before, but she definitely was an extreme beauty to be able to be ranked first with Susu. A beauty like her did match the #1 genius of Infinity Sect. Yu Shomping smiled and said quietly, however, although that Yuan Guanan likes Wen Sai, he likes Luo Susu even more. Luo Susu is also the #1 beauty of the South Peace State. I heard that because of this, Wen Sai is going to challenge Luo Susu. Hearing this, Yimo's eyes turned cold. What sort of thing was Yuan Guanan? How dare he plan on chasing Susu? That Wen Sai clearly wasn't a good person either. Would Susu even bother talking to a trash like Yuan Guanan? What right did she have to challenge Susu? Yu Shomping didn't see Yimo's face change and kept talking. That Luo Susu is no simple woman. When Wen Sai said there could only be one #1 beauty, she said contemptuously that she never cared about the South Peace State 10 beauties. Wen Sai could take first if she wants. Wen Sai just told her to stay away from Yuan Guanan. But Luo Susu replied in contempt that she had a husband and other than her husband. Even if Wen Sai took all the men in the world, she wouldn't care. It could be said that in the first battle between the #1 beauties, Wen Sai was utterly defeated. Yimo heard this and knew that Yu Shomping was telling the truth. Susu indeed had this character. Knowing that Susu still thought about him, Yimo wanted to go to Black Eye Sect immediately, but he knew this was just a dream for him. He hoped that Susu would go to the Truthfall Palace. Heaven Star Sect's Yi Shuanghu went up. He's Golden Core State Trial Tablet 16th. Only one rank difference with Dong Wuya. This is interesting. Interesting. Yimo saw another Nascent Soul State Level 1 cultivator fly up the stage. Clearly, he had just reached Nascent Soul State not long ago. Everyone's attention was caught by the two geniuses. Dong Wuya and Yi Shuanghu clearly knew each other and greeted each other before taking out their magic artifacts. Yimo knew Dong Wuya's magic artifact, a stamp, but he didn't expect Yi Shuanghu's weapon to also be a stamp. The two stamps clashed together with immense force in the air. Cultivation essence rattled, and although there was a powerful restriction around the stage, it still shook. The two were really evenly matched. The body condensation state judge nodded. Clearly, he was very happy with the two's power. Yimo could tell that the two were indeed very close, and it would take a long time to settle the score. He thought of when Dong Wuya was Golden Core State Peak Stage, he was only Golden Core State Level 1. Now, he was Nascent Soul State Level 1 at the same time as Dong Wuya. He couldn't help to sigh about the wonders of life. Even though Yimo knew that he was able to progress faster than Dong Wuya because he got the Heaven Glory Pill and a Spirit Range and countless pills, Yimo still felt quite satisfied. To be able to surpass a genius disciple in such a short time was a satisfying thing. Plus, Dong Wuya's resources were also quite good. A 9-star Sect's core disciple would definitely not lack resources. With Yimo's power, he was no longer interested in the fight between the two, but he saw that Yu Shomping and Gulian were enjoying it quite a lot. Yimo moved his eyes away and saw a pretty back that followed a nascent soul state cultivator into a spirit rest tower outside the stage. Tea towers were like bars and leisure centers on Earth. They provided a place for cultivators to rest as well as all sorts of spirit wine and tea. The figure was definitely someone he knew. He couldn't even tell you Shanping and Gulian, and quickly went into that spirit rest tower. Ling Xiaoshuang and her martial sister had walked around the market for half a day and just walked into the spirit rest tower. She saw Yimo follow in as well, and immediately her eyes flashed with a sliver of disgust. She said coldly, "This Ning Xiaoma is really shameless." "Xiaoshuang, who are you calling shameless?" The nun next to her heard this and asked. But before Ling Xiaoshuang could reply, she also saw Yimo walk in here, seemingly desperate. "That guy is shameless indeed. He actually followed us here," the nun next to Ling Xiaoshuang said in contempt. Yimo didn't see Ling Xiaoshuang, but even if he had, he would have to make sure if her figure was the figure he had seen. At this moment, the pretty figure turned back and saw the desperate Yimo, but she didn't mind. Is it really her? Yimo's head buzzed. He didn't think he would meet Dongfang Nana here. He destroyed her Dantian and was about to kill her, but because Yi Zifeng was so crazy about her, he let her go. Then, the two left Luoying, and Yimo didn't know where they went. Many years later, he saw her in a city in South Peace State without Yi Zifeng. Dongfang Nana was already Golden Core State Level 1 power, and her Dantian somehow recovered. Her cultivation talent was also really good. Yimo was desperate. Without hesitation, he rushed up to her and grabbed her shoulder. "I have some business with you. Come with me." Shameless thing. Ling Xiaoshuang saw this scene and couldn't take it anymore. She released her flying sword and was about to kill Yimo. She realized now that Yimo didn't come in here for her. He probably knew that she wasn't easy to mess with, so now he was harassing another girl. She had to kill such a person. Although it was quite some trouble to kill in this city, she knew it was fine for her. No one would offend her sect for an irrelevant cultivator. But before Ling Xiaoshuang made a move, the nascent soul state cultivator next to the girl already attacked Yimo. He released a foldable fan, and the fan covered Yimo with a bleak chi. Yimo used his cultivation essence to dissipate the bleak, killing intent. At this moment, Dongfang Nana just came to her senses and hurriedly ran behind the nascent soul state cultivator. She looked at Yimo with horror. She didn't know why Yimo suddenly attacked her. She had never seen this person before. "How dare you act up in front of me, Wu Yu? Seeing that you blocked my casual attack, break your arm you used to grab her and piss off." The nascent soul state cultivator glared coldly at Yimo. "Huh. He's the 7-star sect Eternity Seas genius, Wu Yu? You mean the guy who's nascent soul state level 7 when he's not even 100 years old? Ranked 267 on the nascent soul state trial tablet? Of course it's him. The cultivator who offended him is gone for sure, but young Master Wu doesn't seem to want to kill." Yimo glared coldly at Wu Yu. Dongfang Nana was in front of him. He had to take her away no matter what and ask where Yi Zifeng was. Feeling Yimo suddenly increasing his power, Wu Yu was dazed. A mere nascent soul state level 3 dared to do this in front of him. Did he think he was Yuan Guanan? Wu Yu just wanted to speak up when Dongfang Nana suddenly pulled him and said, "Big brother Wu, never mind. Let's go in." She saw the familiar anger in Yimo's eyes and began to worry. "Why go? I must take his arm. This trash should be thankful I'm not killing him," Wu Yu said. Yimo calmed down. He knew that if he used all his means he would be able to beat Wu Yu. But this was Truth Fall City. He wouldn't be able to kill Wu Yu without people noticing him. He was too impulsive just now. Chapter 1035. Number 1 King of Nascent Soul State. Chapter 1035. Number 1 King of Nascent Soul State. Thinking about this, Yimo sneered and turned to leave, ignoring Wu Yu. He knew that it was impossible to take away Dongfang Nana here, but he already knew she was at the 7-star Eternity Sea sect. "That was enough. You want to go? Leave an arm behind," Wu Yu said coldly. His fan opened and swept about, directing a few sharp, bleak rays at Yimo's arm. He didn't just want to slice off Yimo's arm. He wanted to pulverize it. Yimo immediately felt a powerful cultivation essence wall seal him off. "Wu Yu made it look easy, But Emo knew it was just that he didn't want to cause a big commotion here. Even an ordinary nascent soul, state level 3, wouldn't be able to stop this. If he was going to counterattack, it would cause a big commotion. But there was no way Emo wanted to lose an arm. Without a thought, he released Zisu. But before he moved, a white sword ray slipped past Emo and Wu Yu. That sword ray was like the scorching sun and easily dissipated the bleak sharp ray from Wu Yu. Even the cultivation essence wall blocking Emo disappeared. Emo immediately knew that someone helped him. His spirit sense scanned that the white ray turned into a flying sword and landed on a man's back upstairs. It was already strange that a flying sword had a sheath, but even more strangely, the man carried the sheath on his back. Wu Yu didn't expect that someone dared to intervene after he reported his sect, but he immediately recognized who the person who stopped him was. He said, "Su Changji, what is the meaning of this? What does this have to do with you? You want to go against me for a solo cultivator?" That cultivator said lazily, "I like to mind other people's business. If you don't like it, we can sort it out on the Dao discussion stage." Wu Yu clearly knew that he was no match for this man. His face sunk, and he said to Dongfang Nana, "Let's go." He didn't even go up to the spirit rest tower. Dongfang Nana glanced at Emo fearfully and followed closely. Wu Yu walked to the door and suddenly turned to Emo, "You better hope you're this lucky in the future as well. Don't let me see you again, or it won't just be one arm." Emo said expressionlessly, "This is what I want to say to you also. I hope you don't meet me again next time." Wu Yu's eyes flashed with contempt, and he just walked out. After Wu Yu left, the cultivators in the tower laughed out loud. Emo knew why they laughed. It was because his magic artifact looked like an ugly kitchen knife. Emo put away Zisu like nothing happened and saluted with his fists to that cultivator. "Thanks for helping, friend." He felt this Su Changji was a familiar name, but he couldn't remember from where. This man only looked middle-aged, probably no older than 300 years. His power wasn't absurd though, only nascent soul state peak stage. Why was that Wu Yu so scared of him? Su Changji laughed and waved to Emo, "Brother, why don't you come up for a talk?" "Okay." Emo didn't know why Su Changji wanted to talk to him, but he felt Su Changji had no nefarious intentions, so he went up. Ling Xiaoshuang glared at Emo and said coldly, "This lecture has some luck. If it wasn't for Su Changji, he wouldn't be able to get away today. This Su Changji rose to fame in a short time, but I heard he's quite a person. Why would he click with someone like Ning Xiaoma?" Emo saw that when Su Changji stopped Wu Yu, no one dared to discuss the matter anymore, as though they feared him. What shook him even more was that he heard Su Changji was a solo cultivator. Su Changji clearly had a top-grade room in this tower, as he could see the Dao discussion stage outside. "Brother Su, thank you." Emo thanked Su Changji again. Su Changji waved his hand and poured a cup of spirit tea for Emo before saying, "You're Emo? You came from the North Far State, right? Pei High City's Emo you also belongs to you." Emo got up abruptly and looked at Su Changji in shock. He had never seen this person before. How did he know so much about him? Su Changji smiled and waved his hand to Emo. "No need to worry. If I'm not wrong, you probably took care of that Tian Alfing. You only dared to do that because you didn't know who he was." Emo felt his head buzzing. If this matter was leaked, he would have to flee to the ends of the world. How did he know? Wait, he was just guessing. He wasn't too sure that Tian Alfing was killed by him. He knew so much about him so clearly. He came from North Far State. But one had to be Hollow Spirit State to come from North Far State. How did he come then? Did he get referred by a disaster transformation state as well? Emo suddenly remembered the name Su Changji and blurted out, "I remember you. You're the number one of the 50 nascent soul state kings in North Far State, right?" North Far State didn't have a nascent soul state hall of fame, but there were 50 kings. Emo heard the number one master was Su Changji. Su Changji smiled and nodded. "That's right. I'm that Su Changji. I only needed to see your unique purple kitchen knife before recognizing that you were that Emo that Wang Yu Sec's Shan Di Qian Bei talked about. I was also recommended to come here, but by Ling Zhongtian Qian Bei. North San's number one master?" Emo knew Ling Zhongtian. He was the number one master of the North Far State and was also said to be a solo cultivator. Su Changji nodded. "That's right. Ling Qianbei is undoubtedly the number one person in North Far State. But the cultivation difference between North Far State and South P State is too great. Lingqian Bay can't even be ranked amongst the top 100 in South P State. Really? Yimo asked in shock. Yes, the South P State cultivation level is far from what we see superficially. Many truth realization state cultivators don't show up in the world. They just want to ascend to the immortal realm. We never hear of them. Su Changji nodded seriously. Yimo suddenly asked, Brother Su, since you were recommended by Ling Zhongtian Qianbei, why didn't you join a sect? Su Changji shook his head. My situation is rather complicated. It can't be solved by joining a sect. Plus, even if I join one, I won't be able to break through nascent soul state. Why is that? Yimo asked subconsciously. Disillusion flashed across Su Changji's eyes. He said after a moment, the cultivation method I'm cultivating is very special and high level, but it only has steps up to nascent soul state. There's nothing for any stages afterwards. 100 years ago, I was already in nascent soul state tertiary stage. Now I'm still at this level. If I don't get a new cultivation method, I will remain a nascent soul state cultivator until I die. So this was it. Without a hollow spirit state cultivation method, a nascent soul state cultivator might explode if he forcefully tried to break through. Yimo didn't know why Su Changji didn't change cultivation methods, but he didn't ask. Su Changji continued, Ling Zhongtian Qianbei knew of my situation, and he tried very hard to help me find the latter part of that cultivation method, but he still hasn't been able to find it up until now. He eventually used a recommendation spot to send me here so I can search for my fortune myself. I've been wandering around everywhere and made quite a name for myself, but I haven't gotten any news of it. Although Yimo could write a new cultivation method using the 3 birth chant, he only just met Su Changji and didn't know if he was trustworthy. The 3 birth chant was too large a secret. Chapter 1036. Take a disciple for the master. Chapter 1036. Take a disciple for the master. Su Changji didn't know what Yimo was thinking and continued. Although I'm the number 1 nascent soul state in North Far State, if I go to the South P State trial tablet, I would barely make it into the top 50. I just don't want to expose that I came from the North Far State, so I didn't go try. For me, the most important thing is to find the latter half of my cultivation method. Yimo fell silent for a moment before asking, How do you know so much about me, Brother Su? Su Changji laughed. Don't worry, I know a lot about you because you're too famous in North Far State. You're the pill concoction hall of fame number 1, and created the spirit-weaving pill. Old Man Kong favors you as well. News of what you did in the herb plains spread out. Only a madman like you would form your golden core during a battle. After you came out, you killed Ghost Immortal Sects GZ Yuan. I went to Peihai City to look for you after Shandi Qianbei said you were there. I've long admired a genius like you, but you'd already left Peihai City. It's really fate that we could meet here. He paused and said, You probably don't know what happened after you left. Many big sects went to Peihai to find you hoping you would join them, but unfortunately, they didn't find you just like me. Hearing this, Yimo immediately asked, Brother Su, how is my Peihai MOU doing? Su Changji smiled. You don't need to worry, MOU is very well. After you became famous, many of your friends want to join MOU. Ghost Immortal Sect and that Pill Tower wanted to start trouble there, but Wang Yu Sect intervened and the 2 powers didn't even dare to say anything. I still have a letter for you here. Before I left Peihai, your wife and sister told me to give it to you if I met you. Then, Su Changji passed a letter to Yimo. Yimo read the letter and felt warm. Song Yangzhu, Yiling, Su Jingwen, and them all sent their messages telling Yimo they were fine and not to worry about them. They also mentioned that Su Changji helped Yimo a lot. Su Changji wasn't familiar with Yimo, but he helped Yimo clearly because he liked what Yimo did. Yimo felt his heart rest easy and put the letter down. He thanked Su Changji again. Thanks a lot, Brother Su. Su Changji waved his hand and smiled. I don't have that many people to think about. I'm very free. Brother Yimo, you probably came to this city for the Truthful Palace, right? Yes, I want to go see too. The opportunity is rare. I only got an opportunity by chance. Yimo nodded. Su Changji fell silent for a moment and said, Brother Yi, you know why I came here? My cultivation method is very special and I can't change to another cultivation method. So if you go to the Truthful Palace, can you help me see if you can find the latter half of the cultivation method? After Su Changji brought him the family letter, Emo was already planning to help. He just didn't know what Su Changji's cultivation method was. Now that he said this, Emo felt he didn't need to hide anything. He got up and said, Brother Su might not believe me, but if I have a general look at a cultivation method, I can perfect it myself. I did this for my own cultivation method. Looking at Su Changji's shocked eyes, Emo continued, If Brother Su trusts me, you can show me your cultivation method. I might be able to help. Emo wanted to help Su Changji, but if he wasn't willing to take out his cultivation method, then never mind. Su Changji finally woke up from the shock of Emo's words. If he didn't know who Emo was, he would have thought Emo was at least truth realization state or even an immortal. After a long while, Su Changji breathed. No wonder, brother, ye can dominate cultivators of the same level in North Far State. You have such overpowered capabilities. Thank you, but my cultivation method is different from others. It's not that I'm not willing to show you, but if you can't find the latter part, it's indeed unable to be completed. Emo smiled and didn't speak. If Su Changji wasn't willing to take it out, he wasn't going to offer a second time. They had a good impression of each other, but after all, they'd been together for too short a time. Just when Emo thought Su Changji wasn't going to take it out, Su Changji brought out a cloth made from unknown materials and placed it in front Emo. This is the cultivation method I got. Have a look. It's not something that's substantial. Usually, cultivation methods were inscribed in jade slips. Emo rarely saw ones recorded on cloth. It was clearly an ancient cultivation method. Emo nodded, and just read the beginning before looking at Su Changji in shock. Blue River Spirit Chant. Your cultivation method is a spirit cultivation method? Su Changji smiled bitterly and nodded. Yes, when I got this cultivation method, there was also this sword, Blue River Spirit Sword. The words Blue River Emperor were on the sword hilt. Emo soon found that this cultivation method was much faster than even ordinary heaven-grade cultivation methods. Many cultivation essence routes and meridians were similar to his 3-birth chant, but there were some places that needed to be perfected. Su Changji saw Emo study the cloth intently and didn't say anything. After a while, Emo wrapped up the cloth and gave it back to Su Changji. Brother Su, I've read it. It has definitely surpassed a heaven-grade cultivation method. I don't dare to guess what level it's at, but I'm sure that even if there was a latter half to this, it's not on Luoyu continent. It might be from another realm. I think it would be very hard to find the latter half of this cultivation method. Su Changji didn't seem too disappointed with Emo's words and just sighed. How can I not realize that, but I find that I can't change to other cultivation method. It's very different than other cultivation methods. Emo smiled and interrupted, Brother Su. If you want to cultivate another cultivation method, I have a way. This cultivation method is just unique in the cultivation essence you cultivate. This can be solved. Huh. Su Changji got up immediately and asked desperately, Brother Su, you have a way for me to change to another cultivation method? Emo smiled. Of course, but I can also keep perfecting your Blue River Spirit Chant slowly. It just depends on which one you choose. You can really complete it? Su Changji grabbed Emo's hand in excitement. If the Blue River Spirit Chant could be perfected, why would he choose another cultivation method? Emo nodded. If Brother Su trusts me, then I can. But right now I'm only nascent soul state level 3. I can only perfect it to the hollow spirit state tertiary stage. The cultivation method afterwards will need to wait until after my power increases before I can finish it. I trust you, of course, Su Changji said without hesitation. If this cultivation method wasn't completed, he would be stuck in nascent soul state forever. Regardless of whether Emo sued or not, he would try it. Plus, he liked the way Emo did things and had investigated him. He knew what sort of person Emo was. He wouldn't lie. Despite what Emo said sounding absurd, he was subconsciously willing to believe it was true. Brother Yi, if you can help me perfect the Blue River Spirit Chant, my life is yours. Su Changji got up and said seriously. If Emo could perfect it, Emo was akin to his master. No, Brother Yi, if you perfect it, you're like my master. If it's not that I really want to be friends with you, I would worship you as my master, Su Changji said genuinely. Yi-Mo immediately understood and said, in that case, I'll take you in as a disciple. Su Changji dazed, thinking, I didn't say I was going to worship you as a master. Yi-Mo laughed and patted Su Changji's shoulder. My master is called Three Birth. I'll take you in as a disciple for my master. How about it, Martial Brother Su? Su Changji immediately understood what Yi-Mo meant and said happily, very well, Martial Brother Yi. Haha, great. Su Changji didn't know which master this Three Birth was, but clearly he was no ordinary person to be able to teach a disciple like Yi-Mo. After talking for half a day, Su Changji said he would go to Mou City in South P State while he waited for Yi-Mo to come out from the Truthfall Palace. He wouldn't need to roam around everywhere. Ling Xiaoshuang was very unsatisfied, however. He wanted to teach Ning Xiaoma a lesson, but that guy stayed with Su Changji and hadn't been out for an entire day. What were they talking about? Chapter 1037. Meeting Dongfang Nana again. Chapter 1037. Meeting Dongfang Nana again. Yi-Mo just informed Yu Shanping and Gul Yin and moved to Su Changji's place. After his ordinary cultivation, he would help Su Changji perfect his cultivation method and discuss cultivation experience. Although he really wanted to buy an armor cultivation artifact, he feared being recognized by the Lightning Cloud sect, so he didn't dare to go out. 3 months swung by, and when Su Changji got his perfected to Hollow Spirit State Blue River Spirit Chant, his joy was inexpressible. Although he didn't know how well it was perfected, and if it would be worse than it originally was, it was so much better than having no cultivation method. Although it was Yi-Mo's first time seeing the spirit cultivation method, it was all the same to him. The cultivation method might be a higher level, but it was still encompassed under the cultivation theory described by the Three Birth Chant. Martial Brother, I'm going to find a place to reach Hollow Spirit State. I won't wait for you. But be careful of that, Wu Yu. He seems magnanimous, but is actually a vengeful spirit. He will be going to the Truthfall Palace for sure. Be wary of him. Su Changji got his new cultivation method and couldn't wait to try it out. He hadn't been able to cultivate for almost 100 years. Yi-Mo smiled. Martial Brother, don't worry. You can wait for me at Mou City after your divine damnation. As for Wu Yu, it was just as he said. Wu Yu had better pray he didn't meet him again. If he saw Wu Yu when there was no one around, he would become the next Tian Alfeng. After sending off Su Changji, there were 10 days before Truthfall Palace opened. Yi-Mo eventually couldn't resist going out. He didn't believe he could be that unlucky. It had been 3 months since that event. He didn't believe he would meet that nosy Ling Xiaoshuang. Every time he thought about that divine damnation, he still felt some fear. He had to buy another set of armor. A good set of armor could save his life. Yuyang Artifact Store, it wasn't a very big artifact store, not even second grade, but Yi-Mo came here especially. Su Changji had introduced it to him. He told him that the place didn't have top-grade cultivation artifacts, but the quality of items were very good because the owner Yu Yang was a level 9 forgery great master and could cultivate extreme-grade spirit artifacts. If he was lucky, even half-cultivation artifacts and occasionally low-grade cultivation artifacts would be produced. His quality was better than others of the same level. However, it was more expensive than many other places. Only loyal customers would come here. As soon as Yi-Mo left, he felt someone following him. He immediately thought of Wu Yu and sneered. He was planning to take this guy out at the Truthfall Palace, but since he couldn't wait, then it wasn't Yi-Mo's fault. Thinking about this, Yi-Mo chose a deserted place to go. He didn't even scan his spirit sense out in case his stalker noticed. Truthfall Palace was prosperous and bustling, but most of the people were gathered at the market or the Dao discussion stage. 15 minutes passed, and Yi-Mo arrived at the most deserted corner of the city. He stopped and scanned his spirit sense out. Coming to this point, clearly the person behind him already knew that he was caught. It's you. Yi-Mo looked on in shock as he saw Dongfang Nana. Dongfang Nana didn't seem scared and worried like last time. She caught up quickly. Yi-Mo realized that Dongfang Nana wasn't trying to follow him but wanted to see him instead. Dongfang Nana walked up to Yi-Mo quickly and knelt down sobbing. Yi-Mo frowned. To be honest, he didn't have a good impression of Dongfang Nana at all. Big brother, Io Zifeng, kill me. Dongfang Nana wiped her tears and wept. Yimo's face changed. He didn't even ask how Dongfang Nana recognized him and questioned her harshly. What happened to Zifeng? Speak. Dongfang Nana sniffed. I lived with Zifeng in Canada when the portal opened to the small world. Many people went there. I couldn't endure living a peaceful life, so I persuaded Zifeng to take me to the Duanheng Ranges too. Zifeng is also in South Peace State? Yimo was shook. Yi Zifeng had no spirit root. It would be a living hell for him here. He wouldn't even be able to survive. Dongfang Nana's Dantian was destroyed too. Why did the two even come? Dongfang Nana nodded and continued calmly. When I came to the small world, we followed many people to Xianjiao Mountain and came to the South Peace State. Coming here, we realized this was a cultivation world and there was no way back. Zifeng wanted to look for you, but we didn't know anyone here. We didn't know where to start. Just tell me where he is. Yimo glared coldly at her. If this woman dared to lie, he would kill her immediately. Dongfang Nana said pitifully, I don't know. When I came here with Zifeng, we were barely surviving in a small city. Then we heard a big sect was taking in disciples. Zifeng and I went to check our spirit roots. Zifeng had no spirit root, but I was a pure wood spirit root. No wonder she cultivated so fast. Yimo didn't expect this woman to have such good talent. Clearly, the seven-star sect Eternity Sea saw this and wasn't going to let her go. They were going to train her as a core disciple. Dongfang Nana continued. That sect was Eternity Sea. The person responsible for taking in disciples saw that I was pure wood spirit root and was very happy. But when they saw that my Dantian was shattered, they were very disappointed. Yimo sneered. But then did they find that you've never cultivated before so your Dantian could be recovered? Once someone had begun cultivation, a shattered Dantian was very hard to repair, but for those who hadn't cultivated, it was troublesome but not impossible. Yimo didn't damage it too much on account of Yi Zifeng. Dongfang Nana nodded in horror. Yes, they recovered my Dantian and are going to take me to Eternity Mountain. Then Dongfang Nana began sobbing again. After a while she said, Zifeng was very happy for me after knowing I was chosen. I said I must go to Eternity Sea with him. He agreed. But the second day when we were planning to leave, Zifeng disappeared. Yimo interrupted. Was Zifeng killed by those Eternity Sea bastards? If you dare to lie a single word, I'm going to kill you even if Zifeng wants to protect you. Dongfang Nana sniffed and didn't seem to hear his words at all. I don't know, but before he left a letter for me. He said he can't stop following my dream. He will go find you. Dongfang Nana took out a letter and gave it to Yimo. Yimo opened it and saw it was indeed Zifeng's handwriting. He had written, Nana, sorry, forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. I know that after you realized there was cultivation in this world, your greatest hope is to cultivate. Cultivators have endless life, but I'm useless. I can only follow you and let you watch me die. I can't stop your pursuit of cultivation. I can't let a woman sustain me. I'm going to go find my big brother. Perhaps he has a way of letting me cultivate. Sorry, I'm going. If I can cultivate, the first thing I will do is come see you. Take care, Zifeng. Yimo knew that this letter was something Yi Zifeng would write. Yi Zifeng looked amicable, but he had his pride. If Yi Zifeng followed Dongfang Nana, it would indeed be dragging her behind. Would the heartless sea let Yi Zifeng hinder a genius disciple's cultivation? Yimo wasn't sure if Yi Zifeng's departure was related to the Eternity Sea, but they were very suspicious. He would only know for sure once he saw Yi Zifeng. Yimo wasn't too worried about Yi Zifeng leaving alone, but more worried whether Eternity Sea would kill him. Dongfang Nana just kept sobbing and didn't even look up. Are you from the Dongfang family? Yimo suddenly asked. He asked now because he knew she was from there. With their feud, he would need to be more careful. Chapter 1038. The Woman Who Doesn't Go Away. Chapter 1038. The Woman Who Doesn't Go Away. No, my full name is Cheng Nana. When Dongfang Wang invited me to join the Dongfang family, I was indeed wholeheartedly helping him do things. I thought the future Dongfang Wang painted was real. Even when I was with Zifeng, I had ulterior motives. Dongfang Nana seemed to know Yimo detested her a lot, and she didn't dare to look up at Yimo. She just said quietly, when Zifeng saved me and took me from Luoyu, I realized what Zifeng meant to me. I did a lot of things in Luoyu, and Zifeng knew some of them, but he never blamed me. Without him, I have nothing. Yi Mo sighed. Zifeng valued relationships a lot, just like him, but he could tell what was right and wrong. Zifeng's love for Cheng Nana was really something else. He clearly knew she was wrong, but he still let her do what she wanted. But Yi Mo could feel that Cheng Nana wasn't lying. His senses had always been accurate. It seemed that Cheng Nana was genuine to Zifeng now. Yi Mo asked after a moment, "How did you recognize me?" He had changed his appearance and chi. Cheng Nana had only seen him once and her power was very low at the time. How could she recognize him? Dongfang Nana said, "The moment you pulled me, I saw the fury and pain in your eyes. You looked at Zifeng and I the same way at Luoyu City. I would never forget those eyes. I immediately knew it was Big Brother. So that was it." Dongfang Nana was Zifeng's wife, but she followed behind a nascent soul state cultivator like she was his girl. Zifeng was gone too. How could Yi Mo not be furious and disappointed? Seeing that Yi Mo didn't speak, Dongfang Nana suddenly said, "Big Brother, I want to leave Eternity Sea Sect and look for Zifeng with you." Yi Mo shook his head. "With my current power, I can't take you away. Just stay at Eternity Sea Sect for now. You're a core disciple. No one dares to do anything to you. And I hope what you said just now is all true."
Yes.
Cheng Nana's eyes flashed with a sliver of disappointment. She knew Yi Mo was speaking the truth. Suddenly, as though to explain something, she said, "That day I went with Wu Yu to the Spirit Rest Tower because my martial sister wanted to drink the snow fir tea from there. I was helping her buy it, and Wu Yu wanted to come along no matter what. I know, I'm going to the Truth Fall Palace, stay at Eternity Sea Sect, and cultivate. Regardless whether I can find Zifeng or not, I will come tell you. Tell me first, which city did you and Zifeng separate in?" Yi Mo asked. Zifeng was a mortal. He shouldn't have gone too far. "Machim," Cheng Nana agreed. "That city is called Shu Chao City. I asked the Eternity Sea Sect's people to look for him, but they said they didn't find him. I believed them, but now that I think about it, they probably lied to me." She didn't know about spirit sense at the time, but after she cultivated and learned about spirit sense, she knew how easy it would be for a cultivator to find an ordinary person. "Take this, if anything comes up, message me." Yi Mo gave his flying sword messenger to Cheng Nana. He didn't leave a communication bead because South P State was too big. Who knew where he would be? Cheng Nana took the flying sword and hesitated before saying, "Big Brother, you need to be careful of that, will you? He said he would kill you in the Truth Fall Palace." Yi Mo waved his hand. "Don't worry about that. If I was so easily killed, I wouldn't be standing here today. Go back first. Don't let anyone know that you know me." Although Yi Mo's instincts told him that Cheng Nana didn't lie, this was the cultivation realm. Anything could happen. It was better to be careful. If he had to compare, he would trust Su Changji more than Cheng Nana. "How dare you? You shameless thing." A crisp voice sounded out and a sword ray flew towards Yi Mo. Yi Mo waved up a cultivation essence wall and blocked it. He then stared at the person and said, "Did I offend you? Why did you suddenly attack me?" He knew that sword ray was a casual attack, so he blocked it casually too. But he cursed his luck. He was scared of meeting Ling Xiaoshuang the most in this city because only she could guess that he killed Tian Alfeng. But every time he came out, he always saw her. Ling Xiaoshuang stared at Yi Mo in fury and then at Cheng Nana. "You're a shameless person indeed. 3 months ago you assaulted this girl, and now 3 months later, you've tricked her here to assault her. You're a disgrace to the cultivation realm. Last time Martial Brother Wu didn't kill you, but I will kill you now." Then, Ling Xiaoshuang's power increased and her flying sword began to emit a bleak killing intent. Yi Mo sneered. "With which eye did you see me assault her? Plus, if it was you, even if you let me assault you, I wouldn't be bothered." Ling Xiaoshuang just wanted to say, "There are still tears on Cheng Nana's face. I'm not blind. How can I not see?" But after hearing Yi Mo's words, she increased her power even more and couldn't be bothered to talk. Cheng Nana quickly stopped Ling Xiaoshuang and said, "Martial sister, thank you, but I think you've misunderstood. Big Brother Ning didn't assault me. He's just discussing some things with me." Ling Xiaoshuang didn't expect that the woman Yimo was assaulting would speak up for him. She was dazed and forgot to attack. Ling Xiaoshuang could clearly see that Cheng Nana wasn't being controlled, so she couldn't understand it even more. Her killing intent dissipated, and after a long while, she said angrily, "Shameless." Then she turned and left. Yimo tried to avoid contact with this woman, but this didn't mean that Cheng Nana didn't want to talk back. She didn't feel comfortable being called shameless, so she rebutted, "You're shameless." Ling Xiaoshuang heard this and was furious. She was the second beauty of South Peace State 10 beauties. Countless people admired her. This was the first time she was called shameless. But thinking that she cursed first, she only sneered and left. Yi Imo breathed easy seeing that Ling Xiaoshuang didn't stay. Yi Imo let Cheng Nana go first, and then he went back to Yuyang Artifact Tower. Yi Imo thought that the shop would be empty, but after coming here he realized how wrong he was. The location was distant and the place wasn't big, only about 40 square meters. But there were 4 chairs, meaning that the place could only accommodate 4 customers at most. Each chair had a small square table in front of it. Yimo was surprised to find that there were already 3 people inside when he arrived. The 3 cultivators scanned him casually with their spirit sense and didn't mind. They just looked down while sitting on their seats as though waiting for something. Chapter 1039. Competing Bids. Chapter 1039. Competing bids. There only seemed to be these 3 cultivators in the shop. Yimo studied the place. There were just a few spirit artifacts placed on a wooden rack. There was nothing covering it and a layer of dust on it. There seemed to be another room inside, but it was blocked by a formation, so Yimo's spirit sense couldn't reach it. If Suji-chang didn't recommend this place, he really wouldn't believe there was a forgery great master here, and a level 9 one at that. How could this place even be called an artifact shop? May I ask if Master Yu Yang is here? Yimo could only ask the cultivator sitting on the side, seeing he couldn't find anyone from the shop here. The cultivator sneered and didn't even look at Yimo, much less answer him. The 2 people on the side didn't even change their expressions. Yimo was speechless. These 3 really had an attitude. The weakest of them was Nascent Soul State Level 4. The highest was Nascent Soul State Level 7. Any of them had higher power level than him. Yimo could only go sit on that empty chair. The 3 saw that Yimo sat down and looked a little surprised, but didn't say anything. Yimo knew what they were surprised about. In the cultivation realm, a small difference in power was actually a huge gap. Yimo was Nascent Soul State Primary Stage, but these 3 were Middle Stage or Tertiary Stage. Yimo was the weakest here and had no right to talk. The 3 ignored Yimo, clearly not welcoming him here, yet Yimo still sat down. Before long, another customer came. It was another Nascent Soul State cultivator, a female who was only Nascent Soul State Level 1. However, this woman immediately caught the attention of the other 3. She was a very beautiful female cultivator. Her body formed perfect curves at the door, and she emitted a feminine vibe all over her. However, her face was very cold. Even Yimo admitted that this woman was quite attractive. She was on par with Ling Xiaoshuang and seemed to emit a unique attraction to men that would draw their attention to her. Her eyebrows slanted upwards. Clearly, she had her own opinions and was a very confident woman. Yimo took back his gaze. This woman was very beautiful, but to him, it was just that. Both Luoying and Ning Qingxue were better than her. The woman saw that there were no more seats, so she just stood in the room and didn't speak. Yimo took no initiative to give his seat over to her. He felt the cultivation essence waves. There was a strong fire element presence, meaning that Yu Yang was still forging. But someone else got up. It was that Nascent Soul State Level 5 cultivator. He stepped out and saluted with his fists to the woman. "Martial Sister 1. I'm Tianxian Sex Ji Chuanxue. You can sit at my place." The female cultivator glanced coldly at Ji Chuanxue, but stood there without moving. Ji Chuanxue felt awkward but laughed at himself before sitting back down. Yimo felt it odd. This woman was only Nascent Soul State Level 1, and that Ji Chuanxue was Nascent Soul State Level 5 and from a 7-star sect. How could someone like him be so easy to talk to? But soon, Yimo realized what was going on. If Ji Chuanxue sucked up to the woman just because she was pretty, he would have kept talking. But that woman ignored him, and he didn't dare to get angry. Clearly, the woman had a higher status than him. Female cultivators with the last name Wan and a higher status than Ji Chuanxue, a nascent soul state level 1 with this level of beauty. Without a doubt, she was Wen Sai. Yimo had a good impression of her at first, but when he realized this woman was Wen Sai, he immediately felt disgust towards her. She had challenged Luoing. What he didn't expect was that a 9-star sect core disciple would come to this shop to buy something. Soon, the restriction was lifted and heat burst out from inside the room. A skinny, black man walked out, bringing the scorching heat with him. He was as skinny as a bamboo stick. The man walked out, and the 3 nascent soul state cultivators sitting next to Yimo got up and saluted with their fists. "Master Yu," Wen Sai called out, "Yu Qian Bei." Yimo realized this man was Yu Yang. His power was nascent soul state level 9, barely a Qian Bei. Yu Yang didn't speak. He walked to that counter and sat down before saying slowly, "This is the last business for this year. The items are not bad. Extreme Great Attack Spirit Artifact Black Rock Sword with a price of 1.15 million top grade Spirit Stones, Half Cultivation Artifact Golden Net worth 1.9 million top grade Spirit Stones, and Half Cultivation Artifact Armor 9 flavors, costing 2.9 million top grade Spirit Stones." Then, Yu Yang looked at the 5 and said, "The highest bidder gets it. If you have good material, you can use that in your bid." Yimo realized why Su Changji said this place was more expensive. Not only was the base price marked higher than other shops, but this guy also got bidders to come. No wonder the other 3 didn't like it when he came. Luckily, Yimo made it on time today. This was Yu Yang's last business for the year. The other 4 clearly already knew about the rules and dates. Su Changji got this news from somewhere else, so it wasn't very accurate. "We understand. These are old rules," Ji Chuanxue smiled and said. "We're quite lucky this time. There are 2 half-cultivation artifacts and 1 extreme-grade spirit artifact. That's close to a half-cultivation artifact as well. Good things, good things. I'll take 9 flavors." Yimo liked that half-cultivation artifact. Insolence. A mere nascent soul state, primary stage cultivator dares to take it. Ji Chuanxue sneered. Wen Sai heard this and sneered. Ji Chuanxue just realized that Wen Sai was also nascent soul state primary stage. Chapter 1041. I also know how to show off. Chapter 1041. I also know how to show off. Wen Sai bid and Ji Chuanxue immediately stopped. He admired Wen Sai a lot. How could he compete with her? The other 2 didn't seem to have the capability to buy, so they didn't participate either. Yimo was the only other person with the money to buy this half-cultivation artifact. Wen Sai nodded after seeing that Ji Chuanxue didn't speak. Just when she wanted to take out her spirit stones, she heard Yimo bid again. 3.7 million. You. When Sai glared at Yimo, she was sure that he did this intentionally. The cultivation artifact armor wasn't bad, but it wasn't worth 3.7 million. 3.5 million was the highest its price would usually go. Yimo was expressionless. He didn't even look at Wen Sai and just stared at that cultivation artifact. "You're asking to die." Ji Huanxue said this and saw Yu Yang stare at him with cold eyes. He felt a chill and subconsciously stopped talking. "Okay, you have a lot of spirit stones, right? Yu Qianbei, I'll pay 5 million. Wen Sai said in anger. Her personality was such that she wouldn't accept a loss to anyone under a similar situation. It was her constant excellence and her character that made her unhappy with Luoing. Although she was sure she didn't like Yuan Guanan like people said, she couldn't accept it that Yuan Guanan liked Luoing more than her. Now, 5 million far exceeded the value of the cultivation artifact armor. The reason when Sai bid 5 million was because she wanted to beat Emo with spirit stones and make him unable to retaliate. A mere solo cultivator dared to compete spirit stones with her. She took out 5 million spirit stones and left them on the counter and took the half-cultivation artifact armor before looking at Emo with cold eyes. She was making this nascent soul state level 3 guy know that he didn't need to show off his paltry amount of spirit stones. Emo wasn't an idiot. Although Yimo really wanted this half-cultivation artifact, he would at most bid 1 million if it was an ordinary woman. However, he really disliked this Wansai. Since she liked to show off, he would show off more than her for Susu. This amount of spirit stones was nothing. 10 million. Yimo was still expressionless, but he doubled Wansai's bid. What? Wansai was shocked. Was this a madman? 10 million? That was 3 times the value of this half-cultivation artifact armor. The rest of the people looked at Yimo like he was an idiot. Even Yu Yang began to study Yimo in surprise. After a while, Ji Chuanchua reacted and said to Yimo in a sharp voice, "Do you not know the rules? If you can't take out 10 million, you will pay with your life." Yimo looked at Yu Yang casually and saw he seemed to tacitly agree to Ji Chuanchua's words. He immediately said coldly, "Master Yu, although it's my first time coming to your business, the environment isn't very good. Are there things being called out from the side all the time?" Yu Yang glanced coldly at Ji Chuanchua, scaring him so much that he shrunk his head back a little. Then he said expressionlessly, "Although I don't like people being noisy, that friend is right. If you can't live up to your bid, you will lose your life." Yimo continued, "No one has bid anymore. Don't you think you should be giving 9 flavors to me?" Yu Yang glanced at Wansai. There was extreme dissatisfaction and discomfort on her face, but she had no choice but to take it. 10 million, that was far more than all she owned. She didn't understand how this unknown solo cultivator was so wealthy. Yu Yang saw that Wansai's face looked bad and didn't speak. He knew she wasn't able to bid higher than that. He turned to Yimo and said, "Take out 10 million spirit stones. 9 flavors is yours." Yimo took out a storage bag and gave it to Yu Yang. He checked inside. It was indeed 10 million. He then gave Yimo a strange look before giving him the half-cultivation artifact armor. Yimo picked up the armor and turned to leave. He had got what he wanted and taught Wansai a lesson. The price was a little steep, but he had helped Susu get revenge. Yimo didn't even look at the other 2 armors. When Wansai saw that Yimo left without even looking at her, her fury burned even more, but there was nothing she could do. She knew that Yimo did this intentionally, slapping her face the same way she tried to do slap his. But soon, she adjusted her mood and pointed at the half-cultivation artifact golden net. "I'll take this." Luckily, no one dared to bid with her after Yimo left. The 2 good magic artifacts were taken, so Ji Chuanchua could only set his gaze on the black rock sword. The nascent soul state level 7 solo cultivator didn't make a bid. He smiled bitterly and left the shop. It was obvious that he had given up on buying the magic artifact. Wansai saw this and sneered. She could guess who this person was. If it really was who she thought it was, then even an ordinary nascent soul state level 8 would be dead, much less that nascent soul state level 3. She knew that the nascent soul state level 7 wanted Yimo's wealth and wasn't interested in anything else at the shop. Yimo stopped and turned around. "I thought the one who chased up would be that Ji Chuanchua, but it's actually you." This nascent soul state level 7 had the highest cultivation level, but looked the most ordinary. "You know I am following you?" This nascent soul state cultivator who showed a helpless smile was shaken. He was a solo cultivator, but he was very cruel and careful. He was like Emo Qianli. The reason he acted ordinary was because after seeing Yimo's extravagance, he wasn't interested in anything in the shop. This ordinary nascent soul state primary stage cultivator was his new target. With such a wealthy nascent soul state level 3 cultivator, if he robbed him, he wouldn't need to worry about spirit stones anymore. Yimo saw the struggle in his eyes and knew that he harbored some hesitation after seeing that he was able to sense him. He was afraid that he wouldn't be afraid to finish him off in a short time and would catch the attention of the powerful beings in the city. Yimo sneered. This guy was really greedy. He wanted to rob him in the city. "You want my spirit stones?" Yimo asked. This cultivator didn't expect Yimo to just say it. He was dazed for a while before he reacted. He was a nascent soul state level 7 cultivator, but he had let a nascent soul state level 3 take the upper hand in the conversation. This was a joke. Thinking about this, he giggled. "That's right. I'm interested in your storage ring. If you're willing to take it out, I won't hurt you." Emo looked at this nascent soul state level 7 cultivator and pointed at his storage ring, smiling and saying, "If you want to rob me here, you might be caught by the powerful beings in the city. If you don't mind, we can go out of the city. What do you think?" The nascent soul state cultivator heard this and was surprised. What logic was this? Going out of the city willingly so he could be robbed? He immediately realized something and looked coldly at Emo. "You have a friend hiding outside the city, so you want to trick me out?" Emo patted his head speechlessly. "There are a few exits out of the city. If you don't trust me, then how about this? You lead the way. I will follow whichever exit you take." If he wasn't scared of being caught by the powerful cultivators here, he would have attacked already. How was this guy so timid? The nascent soul state cultivator studied Emo again and again. He didn't believe Emo would be able to beat him. The difference between a nascent soul state level 3 and level 7 was huge. Even Infinity Sect's Yuan Guannan wouldn't dare to be this cocky. If Emo was able to beat a nascent soul state level 7 as a level 3, he would have long been famous. How could he not know of him? This was all an act. He wanted to make him scared to attack by bluffing. "Okay, in that case, follow me," the cultivator said. Chapter 1040, Power of the Heaven Flame. Chapter 1040, Power of the Heaven Flame. That nascent soul state cultivator went from the south door to the north door, but Emo followed him without lagging behind at all. If it wasn't that he was choosing the path, he would suspect again whether Emo had someone to help him. When that cultivator left the north door, he went even faster. When he saw that Emo had no intentions of escaping, he felt a little unsafe. When the two were nearly 20,000 kilometers from the city, the nascent soul state cultivator stopped. He was sure now that Emo didn't fear him at all. Although he didn't know why a nascent soul state level 3 wasn't scared of him, he didn't want to drag it on anymore. As soon as he stopped, he took out a blood-red sword without talking. As he spun around, the red sword brought about countless white demonic chi that swept over at Emo. He was planning to kill Emo as quickly as he could, no matter what schemes Emo had. A demonic cultivator? Emo released Zisu, also bringing about purple sword rays. Before the demonic chi even reached Emo, there were light cracking sounds. It was corrosive demonic chi. Emo didn't expect that this ordinary-looking demonic cultivator cultivated corrosive demonic chi. Even if Emo could block this chi, he wouldn't dare to let it touch him. Who knew how painful it was? Emo didn't dare to hesitate at all now. Zisu was releasing a more and more powerful chi as more and more purple sword rays were released, forming a defensive formation. This was the first time Emo used Illusion Cloud Formation Kill Strike with a defense formation. Emo's cultivation essence was powerful, and as his sword rays grew, that demonic chi was completely blocked out by the sword ray formation. The nascent soul state cultivator saw this and was dazed, but the next moment he was happy. He didn't think that Emo was a mere nascent soul state level 3 yet, was still so powerful. This meant that Emo believed he could kill him, so there would be no helpers. Ji Chuanxue was right. This was indeed an insolent guy. Seeing how he sneered at Ji Chuanxue and didn't even let Wen Cai have what she wanted, he thought Emo had a big origin. But in the end, he was just an idiot. He had some power and looked down on everyone. This guy would be killed soon even if he didn't kill him today. Thinking about this nascent soul state didn't have any more concerns. A sharp howl sounded and the demonic chi started to rumble even more before pierced into Emo's formation immediately. A putrid smell pervaded the air. "Punk, you want to block my zero-life demonic mist with a mere sword ray formation?" The cultivator used more hand signs as he spoke and the mist got thicker. This guy was definitely acting weak. Emo knew his power. He was nascent soul state level 3, but he had 8 spirit roots and cultivated the supreme 3 birth chant. Both his cultivation essence and spirit sense wasn't something that ordinary cultivators could compare to. He was sure he could even kill the nascent soul state level 8 Gulian easily. But this cultivator was only nascent soul state level 7, and his cultivation essence was so dense. This zero-life demonic mist was too shocking. Emo was sure that even Wu Yu wouldn't have it easy if he met this guy. The demonic chi grew more terrifying, and his illusion cloud formation, kill strike, couldn't stop it anymore. If it was some other cultivator, EMO would use Purple Eye Soul Sever and even Shadowless, but it wasn't a good choice for this demonic cultivator. Even if he killed him, the demonic chi would still remain. The demonic cultivator saw that EMO didn't have any means to resist and could only watch on as his zero-life demonic mist invaded his surroundings. He sneered. A mere nascent soul state level 3. His power was not bad, but he had almost been scared of this cultivator. EMO scanned his spirit sense out and made sure that there was no one within a 1,000-kilometer radius here before dropping his hesitations. His power grew, and the illusion cloud formation kill sword rays became denser. Pre-death struggle. The nascent soul state level 7 sneered in contempt. Die. Then, a bone-chilling red ray suddenly exploded from the blood-red sword and pierced out from the mist. This red ray seemed to even condense the air and charged straight at EMO's Dantian. EMO waved his hand, and a red flame was released from his hand. At the same time, the red turned into a huge, terrifying flame that expanded from EMO's sizzle. There were only burnt smells in the air as the demonic mist had already been burnt to nothing. Clash Zisu and the blood sword clashed together heavily. Instantly, blood rays splashed everywhere. Meanwhile, Zisu formed countless whirlpools of sword chi. The blood ray was intentionally spilt everywhere, but had been burnt to nothing. Meanwhile, EMO used this opportunity to use Illusion Cloud Whirlpool Strike. The nascent soul state level 7 didn't expect that EMO's cultivation essence was no weaker than his, and even a little stronger. He immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and before the blood even landed on the ground, EMO's flame had already vaporized it. At the same time, the flame began to sweep towards the cultivator. My zero-life demonic mist. The nascent soul state cultivator only barely took back his sword ray before EMO's terrifying flame completely enveloped him. You actually have a heaven flame, The cultivator was swept away by the mist lotus heart fire before he could finish. Before his death, he finally understood why EMO wasn't scared of him. Even with his power, he was killed easily. One could see that ordinary nascent soul state tertiary stage cultivators couldn't even resist him. Yet, such a powerful nascent soul state cultivator was unheard of. But he couldn't even regret anymore as his consciousness was annihilated by the heaven flame. After EMO killed this cultivator, he took the storage ring and turned to leave. After a while, he went back into the city through the south door. He didn't even care about that blood sword. EMO knew that despite them fighting so far away from the city, the demonic mist was so powerful that there was no way powerful cultivators wouldn't notice, so he went back to the city immediately. At the same time, EMO was very happy with his mist lotus heart fire. This made him want to create a battle technique for his heaven flame. Otherwise, no matter how powerful his heaven flame was, it might not be able to lock down the opponent if he was too strong. If the opponent also understood fire, it might be even harder. 15 minutes after EMO left, 2 cultivators came. It was easy to see that they were countless times stronger than EMO. One even frowned and looked at the direction EMO left. Blood sword? One cultivator picked it up and looked at it. The other cultivator looked and nodded. It has some history. 3,000 years ago, it killed countless people in the hands of the blood demon Sherlan. Recently, it fell in the hands of a solo cultivator called Lu Jianxiang. He's also a murderous demon cultivator. Who killed him? It's said that he's very careful. Although he could kill people higher level than him, he never risks it. So how can he be killed? The first cultivator explained. The blood sword has a name called Blue Butcher. But since it's been left on the ground casually, it's obvious that Lu Jianxiang has been killed. There are clear signs of battle here, as well as traces of the zero-life demonic mist. This means that the person who killed him has a similar power level. In that case, why did that cultivator leave Blood Butcher here? It's a top-grade cultivation artifact, but it seemed to have lost its spirit, the other cultivator said. The first cultivator frowned and said carefully after a while, Brother me, if I'm not wrong, there are marks of heaven flame. Blood Butcher was destroyed by the heaven flame. That's why it was dumped here. What? Heaven flame? There's a cultivator with heaven flame? The other cultivator was shocked by this news. Chapter 1041. Gathering of Geniuses. Chapter 1041. Gathering of Geniuses. This is not only Heaven Flame, but Heaven Flame that has reached red color. Who has red Heaven Flame? That first cultivator asked assertively. Heaven Flames were hard to get, and even harder to upgrade. Some people could get Heaven Flames, but would remain unable to upgrade it their entire life. However, there were people who could upgrade Earth Flame to blue color. Yemo didn't know that people had guessed that he had Heaven Flame. The first thing he did when he got back was to spirit control the 9 flavors. The Truthfall Palace was about to open, and after seeing that nascent soul state level 7, Yemo didn't dare to be careless. He was strong amongst nascent soul state cultivators, but there were too many prodigies in the world. Sometimes, it wasn't that he was weaker, but a sudden strange attack might be able to kill him if caught off guard. At the same time, Truthfall City let out some news. The demonic cultivator Lu Jianxiang, ranked 219th on the nascent soul state trial tablet, had been killed outside the city not long ago. With this news, many people started guessing at who had killed Lu Jianxiang, because although he was cruel and merciless, he never fought people who were higher level than him, and he really knew how to run away as well. But the news was that Lu Jianxiang was killed during a heated battle. This meant that Lu Jianxiang died to another nascent soul state cultivator. So the genius nascent soul state cultivators in the city were all targets of conjectures. What? He actually killed Lu Jianxiang? When Sai heard this news and didn't even dare to believe it. She guessed that the cultivator who chased out after Yemo was Lu Jianxiang, but she wasn't too sure. Now that Lu Jianxiang had been killed outside the city, it clearly the doing of that nascent soul state level 3 cultivator. When Sai came from a 9-star sect and was the core disciple as well as number 1 beauty of South Peace State. She had a narrow heart and a sense of superiority, but that didn't mean she was dumb. Instead, she knew how terrifying true genius disciples could be. There were many people stronger than her, but no matter how strong they wouldn't be able to kill the nascent soul state level 7 Lu Jianxiang with nascent soul state level 3 power. If it was just an ordinary level 7, it would have been easier for her to accept. But who Lu Jianxiang was, she knew very well. Even some nascent soul state peak stage cultivators didn't dare to face his zero-life demonic mist. Even her martial brother Yuan Guanan wasn't able to kill nascent soul state level 7 Lu Jianxiang as a nascent soul state level 3. Just how overpowered was this cultivator who killed Lu Jianxiang at such a disadvantage? The sense of humiliation she felt from Yemo was gone. Instead, she felt deep concern. If she met this cultivator outside in the wilderness, he wouldn't have mercy on her at all. From how he led Lu Jianxiang outside and killed him without a sound. When Sai knew this guy was definitely an astute person. After Yemo's spirit controlled the armor, he cultivated for a few days. He felt it was about time, and thus he left Su Changji's place and went to Sifan Hotel. Little did he know that Gulian and Yu Shamping were very worried. Yemo had just given them a notice and left. They didn't know where he was staying at all. The Truthfall Palace was about to open, and Yemo was still nowhere to be seen. How could they not be worried? So as soon as he saw Yemo, Yu Shamping acted as if he had seen his family and immediately came up, asking Yemo if he was okay. He didn't even dare to ask where Yemo went. Brother Yi, tomorrow you two will go on Green Pill Sex ship together. We're extra people, so try not to talk or even look around. There are usually big sex geniuses on the ship, and if we offend someone, we can't deal with it, Yu Shamping said. We're going on a ship? Yemo asked in confusion. He thought it would be through a teleportation formation like the herb plane. Gulian nodded. Yes, you need to go on a ship to get to Truthfall Palace. Dao Friend Yu's words are quite low profile, but it's the truth, Gulian said. He was afraid Yemo wouldn't be able to control his temper and would screw things up. Yemo smiled and said, I know. Don't worry, Brother Gu and Brother Yu. Seeing Yemo agree, Yu Shamping breathed easy and said quietly in Yemo's ear, Did you know that there are crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the city? A few days ago, a very powerful demonic cultivator Lu Jianxiang was killed silently outside the city. No one knows who killed him, but he was ranked 219 on the nascent soul state trial tablet. So, it's right to keep a low profile. Yemo was shaken. He knew the demonic cultivator was powerful but didn't expect him to be ranked 219th on the nascent soul state trial tablet. But now, Yemo had a vague idea of his power. If he went to try the nascent soul state trial tablet, he might be around 100 or so. Once he reached nascent soul state middle stage, he was confident in getting top 10. At nascent soul state tertiary stage, he was certain to get in the top 3. But Yemo wasn't interested in doing that at all. He knew now that even if he found Luoying and Ning Qingxue, so what? With their fame, it wasn't realistic to meet them. Perhaps the cultivators challenging him every day would be too many. The second morning, Gulian and Yu Shamping took Yemo and that golden core state cultivator to gather at the Green Pill sect ground. The leader of the Green Pill sect was a body condensation state middle stage cultivator. The cultivator scanned Yemo and the golden core state cultivators. Seeing that their chi was very ordinary, there was a sliver of disappointment in his eyes. But he still nodded to Gulian. You guys can go back. These two will come with us to the Truthfall Palace. Yes, Yang Qin Bei, Wan Bei will leave now. Gulian and Yu Shamping didn't even dare to talk much. Yemo glanced around casually, but found there were 16 people from the sect going to Truthfall Palace. This meant that 8-star and 9-star sects would have even more. Looking around, Yemo saw someone familiar. It was that Xiao Shui from the Herb Plane, but she was now Golden Core State Peak Stage. She had reached Golden Core State Peak Stage in such a short time. It was probably due to the blue wind pill he gave her. However, now all the cultivators from the Green Pill sect were gathered in front of Xiao Shui. When the group came to Truthfall Square, many sects were already there. Even though this square was huge, it still seemed noisy. There was a huge ship parked at the square. This was probably the ship taking them to the Truthfall Palace. He lowered his power to nascent soul state level 1, and even seemed a little unstable. Yemo's caution was correct. Soon, he felt a few spirit senses scan over his body. He even suspected that one of them belonged to Yu Shamping. As more people boarded the ship, the people in the square grew less. Yemo and Gu Wei were at the end of the Green Pill sect's line. Although the Green Pill sect gave 2 spots to them and had 2 extra rooms, they didn't give the rooms to Yemo and Gu Wei. 2 hollow spirit state cultivators from their sect came instead. Yemo and Gu Wei couldn't even stay in Green Pill sect's place. They could only live with people from the Solo Cultivator Alliance. There were very few solo cultivators going to the Truthfall Palace. Many of them were recommended by the Solo Cultivator Alliance. However, the Solo Cultivator Alliance's status was far weaker here than in North Far State. This was because North Far State had Lingzhongtian. But Yemo didn't mind. He didn't want to be found. When he came to the Solo Cultivator rooms, he found that there were almost 200 solo cultivators, and they all stayed in this big hall. Everyone just had an area, not even their own room. For a cultivator, a private room was the most important, yet so many were squeezed here together. Chapter 1042. The Female Cultivator Who Wants to Make a Deal with Yemo. Chapter 1042. The Female Cultivator Who Wants to Make a Deal with Yemo. Yemo found a place to sit and started to close his eyes in meditation while hiding his chi. It was after about 15 minutes that Yemo felt the ship shake. He scanned his spirit sense out, but found that the ship had already gone into the sky and was getting faster and faster. Almost immediately, Truthfall City disappeared from his spirit sense. Many of the solo cultivators on the ship knew each other and started chatting with their friends. Some people started dealing pills and materials. There was hardly anyone cultivating here as this noisy place wasn't suited for it. The Golden Core State cultivator who came with Yemo sat in a corner and didn't say anything. Through their discussions, Yemo knew that the ship would take 6 days to reach Truthfall Palace. Yemo could tell by the speed of this ship that it was much faster than his flying ship. This speed was at least that of an extreme-grade cultivation artifact, or even beyond a cultivation artifact. The first day hadn't even passed and many cultivators started to go to the deck together. Because there were many genius cultivators this time. A lot of people wanted to go meet some geniuses, but more people wanted to see the market on the deck. Yemo didn't have the mood to go up. He didn't want to show his face in front of anyone, much less go shopping with all those genius sect members. However, although a lot of cultivators went to the deck, there were still a lot of cultivators in the hall. There were very few nascent soul state cultivators amongst solo cultivators. After all, most talented ones were taken by the big sections. There were more than 10 nascent soul state level 1 or level 2, and Yemo was the only nascent soul state level 3. Yemo found that he was the most powerful in this hall. Yemo suppressed his power to nascent soul state level 1 and showed it to be unstable, but even so, he still seemed to stand out from the crowd. He immediately wanted to show his power at Golden Core State Peak Stage. This was because Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivators made up the biggest group here, even more than Golden Core State Level 9. But Yemo didn't do this since there were already a few people who knew he was Nascent Soul State Level 1. The cultivators who went to the market came back and the hall became noisy again. Meanwhile, Yemo scanned his spirit sense out and saw Wensai. She was walking towards him. Yemo felt strange. When he first saw her, she acted like she was the most noble person in the world. People like her usually lived in the luxury rooms. How could she come to the solo cultivators hall? Yemo didn't believe she would come look for him. Firstly, he had never revealed his chi. Secondly, she wouldn't know he was here. There was a handsome youth next to Wensai. He was already nascent soul state level 5 and walked together with Wensai side by side. The two seemed a matching pair. Regardless, Yemo still casually wiped his face and changed Stealth Sand to 9 transformations. Although not even cauldron-filling state cultivators could see through Stealth Sand, it didn't change the appearance as completely as 9 transformations. Sai, don't worry. If we find that guy, I will make you happy, that male cultivator said. Yemo heard this and sneered. It seemed he had guessed wrongly. This woman really might be here looking for him, and even brought someone to help her. It was probably due to him slapping her face with 10 million spirit stones, and her not wanting to let it go. Martial brother Yuan, martial sister Wan. As soon as the two came to the solo cultivator hall, many solo cultivators came up to greet them, but they just nodded casually and started scanning the hall carefully with spirit stones. Yemo knew that this martial brother Yuan was Yuan Guana. He was indeed very handsome, but he thought, no matter how handsome you are, I don't mind you staying with Wensai, but if you try to hit on Susu, then don't blame me. Wensai scanned her spirit sense and here again and again. She didn't even find a nascent soul state level 3, much less that cultivator who slapped her face. Not here? Yuan Guanan saw Wensai have a disappointed look. Wensai nodded. Wensai continued, if a solo cultivator can reach nascent soul state level 3, he would clearly be over 100 years old. How can he be here? That's true. Wensai agreed. Yemo's spirit sense was powerful and the two didn't hide their conversation. So Yemo heard this clearly. After the two left, Yemo immediately took off 9 transformations. As soon as he did, a rather fat cultivator suddenly came up to Yemo and said, Qian Bei, do you have some problem with Wensai? This voice was coarse, but Yemo could tell it belonged to a female cultivator. Yemo heard this and was shaken. His first reaction was to kill this cultivator. Who are you? Yemo calmed down quickly and put up a sound restriction. He knew that if he dared to kill someone here, he would die a horrible death. He stared at this female cultivator, waiting for her reply. She was very fat, and her face was distorted. There were red marks, and it looked very ugly. She was the ugliest woman Yemo had ever seen. Her power wasn't high, only Golden Core State Level 7. The female cultivator shook her head and said, It's not important who I am. I just want to make a deal with you. If you're willing, I'll continue. If you're not, then I won't say it. But Qian Bei, don't worry, regardless of whether you're willing or not. I won't tell that you're the person Wensai is looking for. She explained, the reason I know you're the person Wensai is looking for because when they came in, you changed your mask magic artifact. I was watching you constantly. I've been hiding myself as well, so I saw what you were doing immediately. Yemo couldn't hear any lies from her words, so he frowned and said, Tell me about your deal. If I can do it, then I will. If not, then sorry. The female cultivator nodded and thought for a brief moment before saying, I want to ask you to help me kill someone. This person will be going to the Truthfall Palace for sure. He represents the 6-star sect Earth Demon Sect. Yemo sneered and didn't reply. He had heard of the Earth Demon Sect. He killed 2 from there at the Herb Plain. One was called Gu Yicheng and one Chai Kong. That Gu Yicheng's demonic ray soul-locking net was indeed powerful. Yemo heard Gui Qifan say that it wasn't perfected, or else it would be much stronger. The female cultivator continued to say, "He's called Fu Rong." Fu Rong? Yemo was shaken and almost asked about it. The female cultivator noticed Yemo's sudden change in emotions. She continued, "That demon tricked away my Chao Huan pill and destroyed my face. That isn't all. He and his father worked together to trick someone's daughter away and killed the father. He's evil, he's an animal." Yemo heard this and his face went cold. He stared at this female cultivator and said, "I don't think you're any good either. How did you get your Chao Huan pill? You probably got it through taking a few lives." Yemo thought of Fu Rong's story about one pill killing 2. That was a secret that Fu Rong knew because he was probably there. This female cultivator said this too, probably because she was one of the women there. But Yemo knew that if it was Fu Rong, then he wouldn't be going to the Truthfall Palace for sure, since he knew Fu Rong was probably over 200 years old. Yemo didn't say this though. He wanted to know what this female cultivator wanted. Chapter 1043. Bitter Bamboo's Whereabouts. Chapter 1043. Bitter Bamboo's Whereabouts. Hearing Yemo's words, the woman's calm face turned pale. After a long while, the female cultivator calmed down and said, "That's right. I'm also an evil woman. The thing I regret the most in my life was tricking Big Brother Wu for Fu Rong, this animal, killing him and his friend in such a manner. I was very dumb. I actually believed Fu Rong, that bastard. Other than Fu Rong and I, no one else knows about it. You know probably because Fu Rong told you." Then, she stared at Yemo and said, "If you're his friend, then pretend I said nothing." Yemo smiled. "I know this person, but I'm not his friend. When he spoke of this, I wasn't the only one there." The female cultivator continued, "When he tricked away the Chao Huan pill, he wanted to kill me, but due to an accident I managed to survive. However, I lost my face. I've been following him since then, wanting to kill him, but he's been very careful. Although I've used all my means on stealth, I still didn't get a chance until one day." The female cultivator continued with hateful eyes, "That day, he went with another woman to the deep sea and heartless sea. I knew I couldn't kill him, but I still couldn't resist following him, wanting to find a chance. What I didn't expect was that animal said something to the woman, and she seemed to have understood something. She cursed at him while the animal suddenly attacked her. He heavily wounded her. That woman ran into the heartless sea, and I saved her." Yemo nodded. "Is that woman called Yunyangyan? How do you know?" The female cultivator stared at Yemo with a face full of shock. Fu Rong definitely wouldn't tell anyone this. How could he know? But she quickly nodded. "Yes, she's Yunyangyan. I tried to save her, but she didn't survive. She was too heavily injured. She gave me her father's heritage before she died." Hearing this, Yemo's eyes brightened. Yu Baixing definitely left behind the bitter bamboo. Did this female cultivator want to do the deal with him using the bitter bamboo? This was impossible, right? That was so precious. Seeing Yemo's eyes brighten up, the female cultivator sighed. The person she found probably wasn't any good. His face brightened up as soon as he heard about heritage. But she had no choice now. Thinking about this, she said, "You probably know who her father is. It's Yu Baixing Qian Bei. If you can kill Fu Rong, I will give all of his things to you. There are not only tens of millions of top-grade spirit stones, but also a few cultivation artifacts. There's even a top-grade cultivation artifact. The most precious thing is, there is a hollow meridian pill." Yemo immediately became disappointed. The hollow meridian pill was precious, but Yemo was sure he could get the spirit herbs for it and concoct it himself. What he cared about the most was the bitter bamboo. Why didn't she mention it? The female cultivator looked at Yemo in shock and asked, "Is it not precious?" Then she said, "That's right. The most precious is a hollow meridian pill. Is there anything else?" Yemo asked, unsatisfied. The female cultivator looked at EMO strangely. A nascent soul state cultivator who didn't care about the hollow meridian pill. This was too strange. But she still said, she did say that she has a family treasure. She didn't tell me the name, but she said if I can meet the person who can get her revenge, then tell that person where the treasure is. She just told me it was no less valuable than the hollow meridian pill. Okay, I agree. I'll kill Fu Rong. After I take his head, you will tell me where that thing is. Yemo was sure that it was the bitter bamboo. The hollow meridian pill was nothing compared to the bitter bamboo. 10,000 hollow meridian pills couldn't compare with the bitter bamboo. It was an ancient spirit item. Plus, Yemo was going to go after Fu Rong anyways. The female cultivator didn't expect Yemo to be this straightforward. Yemo knew she was shocked and smiled. I just want the location of that last item. As for the heritage of Yu Baixing Qian Bei, I don't need it, including the hollow meridian pill. You don't want the hollow meridian pill? The female cultivator looked at Yemo in shock. She couldn't understand how a hollow meridian pill was unattractive to a nascent soul state cultivator. Yemo nodded. That's right. I don't need the hollow meridian pill. Wait for me. After I kill Fu Rong at the Truthfall Palace, I will come ask you. This female cultivator fell into a long silence before making sure Yemo was saying the truth. Then, she sighed. I thought wrongly of you before. You're a real sincere person. The woman took out a map and gave it to Yemo. The thing is in the Truthfall Palace. This is the map. Nyangyan said that although the Yu family's ancestor got it, they weren't able to keep it alive, so Yu Baixing Qian Bei kept this in the Truthfall Palace. Originally, I should only have shown you this after you killed Fu Rong. But if I do that, it would mean you would have to wait another 30 years after killing Fu Rong. Yemo was very surprised. If the female cultivator didn't show him the map, then he wouldn't be able to get the bitter bamboo. The Truthfall Palace only opened every 30 years. What if someone else found the bitter bamboo and took it? Then, that would mean he took the map, but it wouldn't do anything for him. Seeing Yemo take the map, the female cultivator said, I actually don't have a right to go in the Truthfall Palace. I came here to find someone to kill that animal. Since Qian Bei took the map, I hope you don't go back on your words. If you can come out, I will be waiting for you inside Truthfall City Square. Yemo smiled and said, Do you think I'm someone to go back on my words? Don't worry, even without this deal, I was going to kill Fu Rong. But there's one question I need to ask you. According to what I know, Fu Rong doesn't have the right to go in the Truthfall Palace either, right? I hope you can explain this. Seeing Yemo stare at her, the female cultivator grit her teeth and said, It's because he and his father have the same name. The two used all the means they had to get the heritage. After Fu Rong's father died, he inherited everything, including his name. When Nyangyan found out it was already too late. Yemo was getting goosebumps from hearing this. Yu Baixing was tricked by Fu Rong 150 years ago, and then his daughter was tricked by the son. The female cultivator got up and saluted to Yemo before turning to leave. Wait. Yemo gave a jade bottle to her and said, This is what you need the most. The female cultivator took the bottle and opened it before calling out in shock, Chao Huan pill? Special grade Chao Huan pill? She used all sorts of calculations and hurt the man she loved as well as his best friend before getting a middle-grade Chao Huan pill. But today, just because of a few words, she got a special-grade Chao Huan pill. Such was life. No wonder this person didn't care about the hollow meridian pill. He was too wealthy. She had never heard of someone giving out the Chao Huan pill so casually. It seemed it was better to be a good person. She gave him some convenience, and she immediately got the biggest repayment of her life. Little did she know that the bitter bamboo's enticement for Yemo was greater than anything. Perhaps due to this bitter bamboo, his life would be greatly different. Yemo also felt that this woman had changed a lot. She harmed two friends for a Chao Huan pill before, but now, she didn't even hide the hollow meridian pill. The disaster transformation state said after the excitement, the Truthfall Palace has 9 levels. Each level has extreme quality things. Those cultivators who can reach higher than level 5 will have unexpected acquirements. But I need to remind everyone, assess your ability before you go. He didn't say anything about avoiding killing, nor anything about forgiveness. Clearly, it meant that as long as you had the power, you could do whatever you wanted in the Truthfall Palace. However, the cultivator didn't mention anything about going in the Truthfall Palace, but no one asked, so Yemo didn't either. A few thousand cultivators waited at the top of the mountain. Many cultivators started scanning their spirit senses around however they liked. Yemo didn't hold back either. The first thing his spirit sense noticed was the Earth Demon sect. That female cultivator didn't lie. Yemo soon found Furong. He also wore a stealth mask spirit artifact. If Yemo didn't look for him specifically, he wouldn't be able to find this guy. His chi had changed, and it was now at nascent soul state level 1. He probably ate that Chaohuan pill. Yemo knew that in this case, he wouldn't be able to put a spirit sense mark on Furong. The cultivators started discussing about forming teams and squads. They didn't seem worried about going in at all. They probably knew how to get in, but Yemo didn't. 6 hours quickly passed, and just when Yemo was getting anxious waiting and wanted to ask, the sacrificial altar suddenly lit up with countless vibrant colors. After a rumble, the rays grew even brighter. Yemo found that he couldn't see what was going on, nor could he scan his spirit sense inside the light. Did the Truthfall Palace appear? Yemo saw that all the cultivators started to look at the bright place. The rumbling sounded for 15 minutes before gradually calming. The bright ray also slowly disappeared. Meanwhile, that disaster transformation state cultivator came out again. The Truthfall Palace is open. Please go in now. Don't all rush in together. We'll start with the 9-star sects. Yemo saw a tall palace tower that soared into the clouds appear before him. It looked very ordinary and seemed old. There was a round light pillar in front of it, but no door. This was the Truthfall Palace? Yemo was shocked to find that when he reached his spirit sense out to the Truthfall Palace, he couldn't send it left nor right. He couldn't even see what was behind the Truthfall Palace. He then subconsciously scanned the top but was shocked to find he couldn't even see it either. Thinking that all the cultivators in Luoyu continent could go, Yemo began to wonder. Did the tower appear like this at the other states as well? But now, there were people going towards the Truthfall Palace already. Yemo found that any cultivator who walked inside the light pillar was teleported away. Yemo was shook. If this was a teleportation formation, it was of a far too high level. Yemo and Guwei was with 7-star sect Green Pill sect, so when it was the Green Pill sect's turn, Yemo followed behind them. When Yemo walked into the light pillar, he felt his body become lighter and a feeling of dizziness. It seemed to last for both a very short and very long time. When he woke up, he was in a huge square. This was definitely a super long-distance teleportation. With his current spirit sense power, even if he teleported from the North Far State to the South Peace State, he wouldn't feel dizzy. There seemed to be a void around the square. When he scanned his spirit sense inside, it felt like throwing mud into the sea. Although more and more people appeared, no one left to go into the void. Yemo didn't understand the Truthfall Palace at all, so he didn't move upon seeing that no one else did anything. In a short while, no more cultivators came in. Clearly, everyone had already arrived. Yemo found that Furong was amongst the Earth Demon sect members. He couldn't go up to mark him with spirit sense. It seemed he could only find another way later. At this moment, Yemo found that the void started to dissipate. He could now scan his spirit sense inside. Those big sect members started to form squads at the square. So did the solo cultivators. They formed squads based on power levels. They were all quite similar, and there were usually about 4 to 6 cultivators in a squad. The few hollow spirit state cultivators also formed a hollow spirit state squad and left the square. Yemo was now nascent soul state level 1. So there were a lot of cultivators asking him to form a squad, but he rejected them all. Since he needed to find the bitter bamboo, it would be inconvenient. Guwei formed a squad with some golden core state level 8s and left the square. There were less and less people remaining in the square. Yemo wanted to wait longer, but he saw that when Cai and Ling Xiaoshuang were still here and didn't want to wait anymore. If he left last, then he would be noticed. Thinking about this, Yemo dashed out and immediately left. After he left, he realized the place he came to was a big grassy plain. But when he scanned the square with his spirit sense, it was still the void. As time went on, the void disappeared. Yemo exclaimed, "Such a powerful formation. Did that cultivator leave by himself?" The remaining cultivators noticed. "So introverted," someone said. When Tsai frowned, she had stayed to see if there would be any strange cultivators, and now she actually did see one. Yemo left fast, but his back seemed familiar. She sneered. She was sure that it was the guy who insulted her. Chapter 1045. Forming a Squad with Nuns. Chapter 1045. Forming a squad with nuns, there was only Yemo on this grassy plain. He took out the map the female cultivator gave him. It was very precise, but it didn't tell him which level the bitter bamboo was at. This made Yemo very annoyed. To him, even if he only got the bitter bamboo in here, he would be very successful. But Yemo had more to worry about. He didn't even know where to go to ascend to the second floor. It seemed he could only check the area level by level. As long as he found the places described on the map, he would be able to find the bitter bamboo. It was hard, but for the bitter bamboo, it was worth it. Understanding this, Yemo took out his flying ship. There were a lot of low-level spirit herbs on the first level, but before he found the bitter bamboo, he really didn't have the mood to dig them up. Just when Yemo felt amazed at the spirit chi density here, he felt his flying ship suddenly lower as though some force was pulling it down. Yemo was shocked and immediately took out Zisu while putting away the flying ship. Zisu was Yemo's attack magic artifact. His control of Zisu was far better than the flying ship. The suction force was powerful, but after he got on Zisu, he instantly broke free from the suction force. He turned back and looked with his spirit sense. It was a swamp. There were some broken magic artifact pieces on the top. It was clear that a lot of cultivators had died here. There really were lethal traps everywhere in the Truthfall Palace. As he was thinking about this, Yemo suddenly heard a howl of pain. Yemo reached out with his spirit sense immediately. He thought someone was accidentally sucked in, but what he saw was a golden core state cultivator being ripped to pieces in midair. Yemo was scared quite a bit. There were space disposition here? You couldn't fly? This was too unfortunate. If he didn't see a cultivator getting ripped apart by the chaotic flow of space, he might have become the next victim. Yemo didn't dare to stay in the air anymore. He landed, and as soon as he did, 4 female cultivators came. 3 of them were dressed like nuns. When Yemo found the mark of Clear Dream Mosque on their sleeves, he subconsciously wanted to run. But soon he found that Ling Xiaoshuang wasn't present. There were 2 Golden Core State Peak Stage, 1 Nascent Soul State Level 1 and 1 Nascent Soul State Level 2 cultivators. Just when Yemo wanted to ask how to get to the second floor, one round-faced nun walked up to Yemo and said, "Martial brother, you can't fly in Truthfall Palace. There are spatial wind blades in the air." It wasn't due to special chaos flow, nor special disposition. This made Yemo relax. Special wind blades were powerful, but not enough to take his life. The other 2 were a different story. Even body condensation state cultivators would die. Seeing that Yemo didn't seem to care, the nun said again, "Martial brother, you can't not care about them. Even hollow spirit state cultivators might not be able to dodge them, much less us golden core state and nascent soul state cultivators." Yemo looked at this golden core state peak stage round-faced girl and had a good impression of her. He saluted with his fists and said, "Thank you for your reminder, martial sister. I'm a solo cultivator and don't know these things. If you didn't remind me, I might not even know how I would die." The round-faced nun smiled. "Martial brother, you're too polite. We've been briefed by our masters before we came in. It's normal that a solo cultivator wouldn't know." Due to this, Yemo's bad impression of Clear Dream Mosque greatly diminished. "Are you by yourself? You need to form a squad in here. Otherwise, if you see the 4-direction kill formation, you won't be able to run. We're from the Clear Dream Mosque. How about you stay with us for now?" The round-faced nun clearly had a good heart. "Chingy, what are you on about? Let's go. We need to meet up with the martial sisters above," the tallest, pretty-looking nun said unhappily. Chingy turned back and said, "Martial sister Qinghan, he's by himself. If he keeps going, He might lose his life before he gets to the second level. The tall nun didn't say anything after this. Chingy smiled sweetly to Yimo. My martial sisters are very nice. We have a map. There aren't many good things on the first level. You might as well come with us to the second level. Yimo wanted to reject initially. Although he didn't know what the four-direction formation was, he believed he would be able to deal with it with his formation skills. But when Chingy said they had a map, he was interested. Yimo wanted to ask them to copy the map to him, but thinking that it wasn't even sold in the Truthfall City, it must be really precious, so he didn't ask. Yimo quickly said, Okay, thank you Martial Sister Chingy. I'm Ning Xiaoma. I was troubled with not being able to get to the second level. I'm really grateful to go with you guys. Chingy smiled and introduced Yimo to her other martial sisters. The tall pretty nun was Qinghan. She was the strongest at Nascent Soul State Level 2. The shy-looking nun was called Qingyue and was Nascent Soul State Level 1. And the one girl who didn't wear nun clothes but instead wore a purple dress was called Xia Yushan. The female cultivators from Clear Dream Mosque were all very cultured. Yimo felt that Qinghan didn't really like him joining, but when he came, she didn't show any bad emotions. At the start, they didn't talk much because they didn't know who Yimo was and he was a guy. But soon, they found that Yimo only followed them from far behind and didn't speak. Each time there were spirit beasts, he would help but never ask to share the loot. However, he wouldn't reject the loot given to him. This way, Yimo soon got a good impression from the four female cultivators. Besides Chingy always talking to Yimo, Xia Yushan began to speak with him as well. Because Yimo showed Nascent Soul State Level 1 power, Xia Yushan sometimes asked about cultivation, but she soon found that Yimo gave her answers easier to understand than her master. His words were truly golden. Xia Yushan asked Yimo all sorts of questions realizing this, and eventually Chingy also came to ask Yimo questions. Even Qinghan and Qingyue greatly approved of Yimo, and Qingyue began to ask Yimo about cultivation. Yimo now felt that he had showed off too much. It was fine if he could answer questions for Golden Core State cultivators, but for Nascent Soul State cultivators as well, this wasn't normal. So, for Qingyue's questions, he just thought for a while and said he didn't really understand. Soon, they came to the entrance of the second level. It was a stairway whose end couldn't be seen with spirit sense. There were a lot of cultivators gathered here, but most belonged to sections. Yimo knew that these sect cultivators must also have maps. Solo cultivators didn't have maps and thus would take much longer to reach here. Seeing Yimo, a guy cultivator with the nuns of Clear Dream Mosque, many cultivators seemed surprised, but no one spoke. Clear Dream Mosque was a 9-star sect. Martial Brother Xiaoma, each level of the Truthfall Palace has a stairway like this. Although your eyes and spirit sense can't see the end, this stairway isn't actually very long. From level 1 to level 2, there are 222 stairs. Each stair has a greater resistance force than the previous one. Once you feel you can't go up further, you must not force it, or you might be ripped apart by the stairway. Chingy explained. Yimo rejoiced. Luckily, someone reminded him. If he tried to force his way up, he might really be ripped apart. Qinghan walked up first. Yimo went last. Indeed, after each stair he went up he felt greater pressure. But from level 1 to level 2, it was fine for ordinary Golden Core State cultivators, much less Yimo. At the second level, Yimo felt the spirit chi here was denser than level 1. Yimo realized why Yu Baixing placed the bitter bamboo here. I see seasoned wheat. Xiao Yushan screamed. Seasoned wheat was one of the 3 main ingredients for the Hollow Meridian pill. This was only the second level, but it was already found. Wait, Yimo suddenly called out, stopping Chingy who was about to charge up. Chapter 1046, Trap? Chapter 1046, Trap? What's wrong, Martial Brother Xiaoma? Chingy stopped and asked. Yimo hadn't been with him for long, but he knew a lot. Whenever there was a problem, Martial Brother Xiaoma would be right about it. Even Qinghan and Qingyue looked at Yimo in confusion. The seasoned wheat was very precious to nascent soul state cultivators, but they'd been with Yimo for a while. They all believed that Yimo wasn't someone who would want to take the seasoned wheat for himself. Yemo signaled for Qingyi to take a few steps back and then pointed at the seasoned wheat, saying, "Scan that with your spirit sense." The earth next to it seems to have been disturbed and then covered with grass. This means that not long ago, someone dug away a spirit herb next to the seasoned wheat. The nuns understood without Yemo needing to explain. Since the spirit herb next to the seasoned wheat was gone, there was no reason for the seasoned wheat to remain. The strongest powered cultivator here was hollow spirit state, and the seasoned wheat was precious to them as well. There was no way someone wouldn't want to take it. Understanding this, the female cultivators looked at Yemo in admiration. Which normal nascent soul state cultivator would scan the earth around the seasoned wheat after seeing it? And if I'm not wrong, the spirit herb that was dug away is also another seasoned wheat. If this person can take away one, why did he leave the second one? Yemo continued to explain. Xia Yushan quickly asked, "Martial brother Xiaoma, how do you know that the other herb was seasoned wheat?" Yemo smiled. Most pill masters know that seasoned wheat appears in pairs. A single plant can't survive alone. Yemo was contemptuous in his heart at the guy who laid the trap. There was one thing that Yemo didn't say. Many people in the cultivation realm thought of the seasoned wheat wrongly. They only knew that it could be used to concoct the hollow meridian pill, but rarely did they know that seasoned wheat was actually two spirit herbs. One was season, the other was wheat. The two could both be used to concoct the hollow meridian pill, but both also had another important use. If both herbs were used, it could be made into the seasoned wheat pill. Seasoned wheat pills could be used to repair cultivators' dantians. Dantian repair pills were very rare. They usually required level 9 or level 10 spirit herbs. But the level 7 spirit herb seasoned wheat could also repair dantian. This repair didn't mean mending Chang Nana's uncultivated and simply broken dantian. That condition could be cured by many other herbs in the cultivation realm. The seasoned wheat pill could truly repair cultivators' dantians. If he could concoct a few seasoned wheat pills, Yemo believed they would be worth a fortune. "Martial brother Xiaoma, are you a pill master too?" Xia Yushan looked at Yemo in admiration. Yemo said awkwardly, "I'm not." But he said in his heart, "I'm a pill king." Oh. Xia Yushan seemed a little disappointed. "Martial brother Xiaoma, do you mean that someone has laid a trap here? But I don't see any trap. It all seems normal?" Qingyi asked. "There really does seem to be a problem." Qinghan looked around and frowned. Yemo nodded. "You're right. Someone set a trap here. Wait, I'll show you one." Yemo casually took out a few formation flags and threw them out. Soon, a trap formation appeared around the seasoned wheat with 3 nascent soul state cultivators around it. If Qingyi and the others went to dig it up, they would be trapped there. There was 1 nascent soul state level 5 and 2 nascent soul state level 3 cultivators. If they ambushed them when they were trapped, Qingyi and them wouldn't be able to get away. Understanding this, Qinghan's face turned frosty. Their sect was easy to talk to, but that didn't mean they liked being ambushed. Yemo knew that although this was a level 3 trap formation, the stealth formation disc he just broke was a level 6 one. Otherwise, Qinghan and them would have found out. "Well, punk, so you know formations. You could even find a level 6 stealth formation disc in a short amount of time." "I really couldn't tell," the nascent soul state level 5 said. Yemo sneered, trying to trick a level 5 formation master with a mere level 6 stealth formation disc? Even nascent soul state cultivators who didn't know about formations would be able to see through it if they were careful. Seeing the 3 ready to ambush them, Qinghan was full of anger. Without a thought, she released a flying sword and charged out. Yemo was speechless. He thought Qinghan was the leader of this squad and should be more reasonable than the others, but she was actually more impulsive than anyone. Although he didn't know how powerful they were, Yemo could tell from the chi that the nascent soul state level 5 was far stronger than Qinghan. The other 2 nascent soul state level 3s weren't people Qingyue could beat either. Yemo was really stuck. If he was by himself, he would kill the 3 without hesitation, but if he killed the 3 easily, he would be doubted by the nuns. Qinghan's flying sword clashed with the fire-red sword spirit artifact of the nascent soul state level 5. Qinghan's flying sword brought 3 rays of white light that turned into 3 intense sword rays, seeping with killing intent. The 3 sword rays enveloped the nascent soul state level 5. 2 sealed off his escape, while the last pierced at his dantian. With a clank, the 3 white rays were dispersed while the red sword hacked out a 10-meter-long sword shape. The sword fire was many times stronger than the sword rays. Before the fire even reached Qing Han, she felt that soul-burning heat. The closer the sword fire came, the harder she felt it was to move. Even if she was to release her defensive magic artifact or take back her flying sword, there was no time. She could only forcefully set up a cultivation essence barrier. But that cultivation essence clearly couldn't stop the sword fire. After some sizzling, the sword fire hacked open the cultivation essence wall. The fire didn't weaken much, but Qing Han spat blood. She was about to be hit head-on by the sword fire. Yimo saw that Qingyue still hadn't reacted inside. The nun's battle experience was too weak. Even though Qing Han wasn't as strong as the nascent soul state level 5, she shouldn't be spitting blood on the first round. What was the point of Clear Dream Mosque sending these inexperienced cultivators out? But Yimo immediately understood. It was to put them through trials of blood. Sometimes, too good of a talent wasn't necessarily enough. It meant you cultivated fast but didn't experience much. Yimo wasn't going to watch them kill Qing Han. He took out a flying sword and then hacked out. He was tens of meters from the sword fire, but once he finished his move, he clashed with the sword fire. Yimo flew into the sword fire, and with a thud, it disappeared. Yimo was in front of the nascent soul level 5. Chapter 1047. Hostage. Chapter 1047. Hostage. That nascent soul state level 5 saw that Yimo hacked his sword through his sword fire and was dazed. After all, he was nascent soul state level 5, and Yimo was only nascent soul state level 1. Was this luck, or did this person really have such power? Qing Han was dazed too. Yimo's superficial power level was weaker than hers, and even she almost got hit. How did Yimo break it? But soon, Qing Han realized that regardless, they were no match for the 3 despite having the advantage in numbers. Understanding this, Qing Han yelled, "Who are you? How dare you ambush people from the Clear Dream Mosque?" Yimo knew what Qing Han meant. If she called out the name of her sect, usually people wouldn't choose to start a conflict with 9-star sect members. But Yimo knew that it was pointless to say this now. These people weren't blind. Could they not see their Clear Dream Mosque's mark? Qingyue and the others understood and released their magic artifacts. What is Clear Dream Mosque? You think you little nuns and a punk can fight us? That nascent soul state level 5 sneered. You're not from South Peace State. You're the beast cultivators from Heartless Sea. Qing Han said in shock. If they were from the South Peace State, they wouldn't dare to be so rude to the Clear Dream Mosque disciples. Yimo didn't speak. He knew that these people weren't beast cultivators. Beast cultivators were spirit beasts who morphed into human form through illusion form pills. He could see through that easily. Also, a beast cultivator needed to go through form tribulation before he could attain a human form. That was about the equivalent of disaster transformation state level. Otherwise, he could only use an illusion form pill, but usually, that meant one couldn't hide their beast chi. There was also another pill called Morph Form Pill that morphed the beast cultivator completely, but even that required level 8 or higher beasts. The 3 didn't have any beast chi at all. Clearly, they were human cultivators. The nascent soul state level 5 sneered and didn't answer Qing Han's words. He just said, "Leave behind your storage rings and go. I won't harm you." Then he looked at Yimo. Clearly, he felt a little concerned with Yimo stopping his sword fire. If it wasn't that they were unsure of Yimo's power, they would have attacked already. Yimo sneered. He had gone through too many schemes and battles. This nascent soul state level 5 clearly didn't mean what he said. Perhaps as soon as they handed out their storage rings, they would attack. Keep dreaming. Qingyue looked shy, but when she got angry she wasn't hesitant at all. She released a lotus-shaped magic artifact and was about to charge up. Qing Han stopped her. She had fought with them and knew that if they fought, her side was no match for them. Their power was much higher and they weren't ordinary cultivators. We need to discuss about handing over our storage rings, Yemo said to the nascent soul state level 5 cultivator, and then spoke telepathically to Qinghan, martial sister Qinghan. Take the other martial sisters and go first. Leave it to me here. I will persuade them to not chase you, Yemo said. The nascent soul state level 5 sneered and agreed. How can we do that? Qinghan immediately refused. Yemo knew that they were inexperienced but not people to leave friends behind. So Yemo immediately told her, I will delay them and persuade them not to chase you. When you guys get out, I have a small transmission rune to use for escape. You guys go first. I can escape for sure. Qinghan looked at Yemo in shock. The small transmission rune wasn't very special, but it wasn't something any nascent soul state cultivator could obtain. It was enough to escape the range of their spirit sense. Clearly, Ning Xiaoma didn't lie about being able to escape. Qingyi and Xia Yushan asked Yemo a lot of questions and worried about him the most. Seeing their worried eyes, Yemo felt warm at heart. He knew it was now time to ask them for the map. Just when he wanted to ask for it from Qinghan, he heard the nascent soul state level 5 sneer. Are you done? If you don't want to hand me the storage rings, we will attack. The nascent soul state level 5 didn't want to drag it out too long. Yemo thought that these three cultivators clearly weren't ordinary people. Since Qinghan and the others had a map, it meant that they had one too. He didn't need to ask for the map. Thinking about this, he smiled and walked towards the nascent soul state level 5. The nascent soul state level 5 took a step back instinctively, but soon he realized his reaction wasn't right and took a step forward. But Yemo stopped and waved his hand. A pale yellow flame appeared that had some milk-white mist around it. Snow essence flame? The nascent soul state level 5 called out in shock. The two other cultivators were also shocked. They didn't expect a nascent soul state level 1 to have a rare flame, especially one that was ranked very high in the cultivation realm. Snow essence flame was ranked 15th amongst the rare flames of the cultivation realm. It was a pure water element flame. Extreme fervor burst from the nascent soul state level 5's eyes and from those of his two friends. Even Qinghan and the others were shocked. Snow essence flame wasn't ordinary. They didn't expect Yemo, a solo cultivator, to have it. Even core disciples of pill sects didn't have it. Qinghan didn't expect Ning Xiaoma to use this to make the three give up on hunting them. But indeed, whoever saw this would give up other things. Seeing that they were about to attack, Yemo smiled. This fire is already spirit-controlled by me. If I want to, it will immediately extinguish and disappear from the world. What do you want? The nascent soul state level 5 stared desperately at the flame. He already considered the flame to be his. Yemo smiled. Let the four go. I will be your hostage. You can keep me here. Okay, I'll let them go. The nascent soul state level 5 agreed without thinking. He waved his hand, and the cultivators captured Yemo. One nascent soul state level 3 even started setting up a trap formation. Martial sister Qingyi, you guys go first. I'll come back soon. Yemo smiled and said. Okay. Martial brother Xiaoma, take care. Qingyi, Qingyue, Yushan, let's go. Qinghan said. Martial brother Xiaoma, you must come find us. We'll be waiting for you. Qingyi knew that it was pointless to stay here with their power. The four girls immediately left while the three nascent soul state cultivators just stared at Yemo's flame, not saying anything. After 7 minutes, that nascent soul state level 3 cultivator suddenly said, those pretty nuns are far gone. You can give us the snow essence flame now. This way, you can go meet up with them early. Yemo suddenly smiled and nodded. That's right, but I know what you really want to say. Your trap formation is ready. You can attack, right? Then, Yemo put away the snow essence flame. Seeing this, the nascent soul state level 5 said, attack. Don't let him bring it out again. Chapter 1048. Minding Others' Business. Chapter 1048. Minding Others' Business. Qingyi and the nuns were gone. Yemo had no concerns now and released Zisu. Illusion Cloud Division Sword brought out a cascade of sword rays. The nascent soul state who was setting up the formation found that Yemo wasn't trapped in his formation at all. He was very surprised. but countless purple sword rays had already swept towards him. When he released his own magic artifact, it only managed to block a few purple sword rays before being pulverized by the countless others. Seeing that Emo had instantly killed a nascent soul state level 3 cultivator on his side, the nascent soul state level 5 immediately realized that he had been hiding his power. He immediately yelled to other cultivators, "Attack with full power. This person is at least nascent soul state tertiary stage." Before he finished, Emo hacked Zisu over at him. At the same time, Emo let out Shadowless. Emo's cultivation essence and spirit sense was already stronger than that nascent soul state level 5. With Shadowless ambushing him, the nascent soul state level 5 could only block one strike from Emo before he had his nascent soul enveloped by Shadowless. The next moment, he felt his spirit sense hurt and was killed by Emo. Emo wanted to finish the battle as quickly as possible, so of course he would attack with full power. The remaining nascent soul state level 3 saw that Emo had instantly killed two of his friends who were stronger than him and was scared witless. He didn't dare to fight Emo at all and released his magic artifact, turning to flee. However, there was no way was Emo going to let him escape. He didn't even take back Zisu and used Illusion Cloud Whirlpool Strike. That nascent soul state level 3 immediately knew things weren't good. The next moment, he was dismembered. Emo put away Zisu and Shadowless and quickly picked up 3 storage rings. He quickly dug out the seasoned wheat and immediately disappeared. "Martial sister, will Martial brother Xiaoma be okay? Why hasn't he met up with us yet?" The nuns had already run for 10,000 miles, and Qingyi couldn't help asking this question. Qinghan fell silent for a moment and said, "He has a small transmission rune. Technically, he should be able to get away even if he can't beat them." Even though she said this, Qinghan felt guilty. She knew that when they left, those people were already setting up a trap formation. As for whether or not a small transmission rune could get out of a level 3 trap formation, she wasn't too sure. She could only meet her martial sisters and ask. If she was by herself, she definitely wouldn't have left, but she still had 3 younger martial sisters with her. She was told by the big martial sister and her master that she needed to take care of the younger martial sisters. She was very grateful to that Ning Xiaoma that they wouldn't be raped. He and his martial sister led the way for Emo, and Emo had given them a few pills. Guoqifan was golden core state level 9, now clearly due to the pills he had given them. Emo was nascent soul state power and showed it to be nascent soul state level 1. As soon as he came, everyone noticed. They stopped fighting and Guoqifan saluted with his fists, showing his respect for a nascent soul state Qian Bei. Guoqifan immediately ate a pill as he was injured. The female cultivator and her 2 friends didn't show much respect to Emo and just retreated a little, clearly waiting for Emo to go away first before they could continue attacking Guoqifan. But what they didn't expect was that this nascent soul state didn't plan to leave. Emo asked coldly, "Why are you guys fighting?" The golden core state peak stage female cultivator and her friends were dazed, not expecting there to be a nascent soul state who didn't mind his own business. Guoqifan also looked at Emo in surprise, but he realized Emo seemed to lean towards his side. "Qianbei, we have some conflict with this person." The female cultivator finally showed some respect for Emo. Emo didn't seem to hear this and looked at Guoqifan. "Why are you guys fighting?" Guoqifan was much more respectful than them. He said, "My 2 friends and I found 2 crisp green vines here. They came here later and saw them too. There was a level 6 redback wolf guarding it, so we decided to attack it together and split half the crisp green vines. However, this redback wolf was very strong and killed my 2 sect members. They've lost someone too, but we eventually killed the wolf together." Guoqifan pointed at the female cultivator and said, "She said her friend died to the wolf, so they want both of the crisp green vines. Are my sect members not dead too? I tried to reason with them, but she attacked me without hesitation." Emo just noticed that the female cultivator and her 2 friends had a star symbol on their clothes. Seeing Emo looked at it, Guoqifan said, "They're from Heaven Star Sect. So people from the 8-star sect can rob whoever they like?" "Heaven Star Sect?" Emo suddenly asked. "Epandai from the 10 Beauties is from your sect?" Chapter 1049. This person is called Ning Xiaoma. Chapter 1049. This person is called Ning Xiaoma. Hearing this, the female cultivator showed a contemptuous look. With Yimo's appearance, he still dares to hit on Martial Sister Pandai? But she said pridefully, "That's right. Martial Sister Pandai is from our Heaven Star sect." Guo had decided to not take the crisp green vine. His cultivation cauldron sect was only a 5-star sect. It wasn't good for him to ask for things from members of an 8-star sect. It might even negatively affect his sect. "Where is the crisp green vine?" Yimo asked. The three just remembered that Yimo was a nascent soul state cultivator. Even though they didn't have to care about nascent soul state cultivators, this place was the Truthfall Palace. They didn't know who Yimo was as well. If Yimo wanted to kill them, they would lose their lives here. Understanding this, the female cultivator and her two friends looked uncomfortable. They clearly thought that Yimo wanted to take the crisp green vine. Yimo wasn't going to care about the crisp green vine. He had too many. "It's here." The female cultivator hesitated and said. Usually, solo cultivators were like insects to her, but now it was a different situation. Yimo's voice turned cold. "Give me the crisp green vine and piss off. Martial Sister, you. Give it to him and let's go." The male cultivator could tell that Yimo didn't care about the Heaven Star sect. He knew that if things continued, they would suffer, and this nascent soul state cultivator might even kill them all in his fury. They just needed to give the things to Yimo now, and when they met their own sect members, they would get revenge. Martial Sister Yu was unsatisfied, but was still prepared to take out the crisp green vine. But before she did anything, a huge firework was set off from the northwest side. A few more colors arose from different fireworks. "It's the sect calling for a gathering," the female cultivator said in shock, and even forgot to take out the crisp green vine before she just sped off. The two male cultivators followed too. Yimo didn't get angry though. He also looked at the fireworks in a daze. The different colors represented different sections. What worried him was that it was the place where the bitter bamboo was marked. Thinking about this, Yimo burned with anxiety. He immediately said to Guo, "I'm going to see what's going on. We'll talk later." Then, Yimo got on his flying ship and headed northwest immediately. Guo saw this and murmured, "This Qian Bei seems similar to the brother Yi I met at the Herb Plains. He seems very interested in the South Peace State 10 Beauties." Then, he shook his head and took out his flying spirit artifact to follow. Yimo couldn't understand how there were so many people gathered at the barren, rocky beach. There were at least 500 people here, and this was due to some people not having reaching level 3 yet. Otherwise, there would be even more. A defense formation was exposed in front of everyone. It was a level 6 defense formation. Seeing this, Yimo's heart sunk. This formation was the location on the map, the place Yu Baixing had placed the bitter bamboo. It was obvious that the stealth formation outside of it had been broken. Yimo knew that if the bitter bamboo was revealed, then even if he got it, he would never live a peaceful life. This was such an ordinary place. How could someone find the defense formation here? Yimo's eyes scanned onto Fu Rong and came to a realization. It seemed that although Yun Yangyan didn't tell Fu Rong the exact location, he still found the approximate location. Fu Rong was quite lucky he reached this place before him. However, this Fu Rong knew there was bitter bamboo here. Why did he reveal it to everyone? When he saw Fu Rong's bleak eyes, it was clear that he didn't intentionally do this. This defense formation wasn't broken yet, and just when Yimo was thinking how to get in before they broke the formation, a few more people arrived. There were at least 2 he didn't want to see. One was Ling Xiaoshuang, another was Wen Cai. But Yimo couldn't leave. The enticement of the bitter bamboo was too much for him. "What is it?" the first man who flew here asked. Yimo knew this guy. He was nascent soul state level 5, the genius of the Infinity Sect, Yuan Guanan. Another nascent soul state from Infinity Sect got up and said, "Martial Brother Yuan, I saw a powerful spirit chi whirlpool appear here and then I came. Then, I saw these Earth Demon Sect cultivators. I suspect that this place might be the entrance to the Truthfall Palace Forbidden Grounds." Then, he pointed at Fu Rong. When he said the words, Truthfall Palace Forbidden Grounds, there was a ruckus. Clearly, these words meant quite a lot. Yuan Guanan nodded and said to Fu Rong, "Tell me what's going on."
Yes.
Fu Rong didn't dare to show any unhappiness in front of Yuan Guanan and said, "I reached level 2 and accidentally got separated from my sect members. When I got to level 3, I wanted to find a place to send a message for my sect members to gather here. I found that this rocky beach is very spacious and easy to see, so I was prepared to wait for my sect members here. Then," he said, "because I know a little about formations, I found a stealth formation here. After I opened it, I saw another huge defense formation. But as soon as the stealth formation was broken, countless spirit chi whirlpools appeared, and they got bigger and bigger until finally disappearing 15 minutes later. Then, you can guess what happened next. The spirit chi whirlpool attracted countless cultivators, and they believed this was some Truthfall Palace forbidden grounds." Yimo sneered. Fu Rong was at most a level 3 formation master. If he hadn't studied Yu Baixing's formations, he wouldn't be able to find the stealth formation at all. But people thought this place was Truthfall Palace forbidden grounds now. What should he do? It was impossible to go in and get the bitter bamboo in front of all these people. Suddenly, he felt some coldness. He subconsciously glanced back and saw Wen Tsai staring at him with a cold face. Her eyes were full of intense killing intent. Yimo knew that she had recognized him. Just when Yimo was hesitating, another pair of cold eyes glanced at him. Yimo cursed. This time they belonged to Ling Xiaoshuang. At this moment, a few more people flew over. It was those Golden Core State Peak stage cultivators that Yimo had kicked away. They were slower, so Yimo had been here for a while before they came. The three saw Yimo, and that female cultivator immediately walked to a girl with a veil on her face. "Martial Sister Pandai. This guy wanted to rob us because he was nascent soul state cultivator." She pointed at Yimo with strong sense of dissatisfaction. The woman glanced at Yimo and said, "You're a nascent soul state level 1 cultivator, but you dare to rob our Heaven Star sect Golden Core state cultivators' things. Do you have any shame, or did our sect offend you?" Yimo was already unhappy, and this woman just heard one side of the story and used the Heaven Star sect to threaten him. Since when was he afraid of threats? But before Yimo could speak, Ling Xiaoshuang spoke. "Martial Sister Pandai, this person is Ning Xiaoma. He's a lewd pervert. He harasses any pretty girls he meets and even uses lewd means." Chapter 1050. Warmth of Friendship. Chapter 1050. Warmth of Friendship. When Tsai looked at Yimo in surprise, and the contempt in her eyes grew. She didn't expect this guy to not only be small-hearted, but to like to bully low-level cultivators, and also to be lecherous. Ipandai stared at Yimo coldly, and suddenly, a dual-ring magic artifact appeared. She said coldly to Yimo, "Give back Martial Sister Yu's things and apologize, or I will kill you." Panyaidi was nascent soul state level 2, and the core disciple of an 8-star sect. Other than Wen Tsai, no one believed she was unable to kill Yimo. Ling Xiaoshuang believed that Yimo wasn't even a match for her. How could he beat Panyaidi, who was stronger than her? But Ling Xiaoshuang told Pandai telepathically, "Martial Sister Pandai." He hid his power. "He's actually nascent soul state level 3. Pandai nodded and looked at Yimo with even more contempt. "Being sneaky and lurking in the shadows, you won't accomplish much. If you don't do as I say, I will still kill you." Even though Yimo was nascent soul state level 3, Ipandai was confident she could kill him. The South P State 10 beauties had an abundance of fans everywhere. The cultivators around her already started to look at Yimo with unhappy eyes. Even the matter of this defense formation had been set aside for the moment. Yimo saw that he had enemies all around him and sneered. He knew that even if he fought them now, he wouldn't be able to beat so many cultivators. He still had important things to do. Now wasn't the time to attack. "What? You still don't want to hand it over?" Ipandai saw that Yimo didn't speak and sneered. Her dual ring buzzed as she injected her cultivation essence into it. "Martial Sister Pandai, let me deal with things like this. I'll make sure this guy begs on the ground." Another male cultivator next to her said. Yemo scanned this male cultivator. He was nascent soul state level 4. Without a doubt, he was also a genius among geniuses to be able to reach nascent soul state level 4 within 100 years. Ipandai shook her head. No need. I said I will make him spit it out, and so I will do it. Yemo looked coldly at Ipandai and said, Idiot, then tell me, what did I rob from that woman? Ipandai turned around and asked Martial Sister Yu. Martial Sister Yu, what did he rob from you? Tell me, and I will make him spit it out. Martial Sister Yu seemed a little worried, but she soon calmed down and pointed at Yemo. He robbed my crisp green vine. Before Martial Sister Yu could say anything else, Ipandai glared at Yemo coldly. Give it back. The crisp green vine wasn't something very precious to nascent soul state cultivators. A nascent soul state cultivator robbed a golden core state female cultivator's spirit herb, and it was only a mere level 6 spirit herb. Immediately, everyone looked at Yemo contemptuously. Yemo saw that this woman wanted to find trouble for herself and couldn't be bothered controlling his anger anymore. He raised his hand, and a flying sword appeared in his hand. He stared coldly at Ipandai. If you want to fight, then fight. Stop spewing bullshit. When Ipandai saw that Yemo would rather fight her than give the crisp green vine, she also got angry. Her power levels rose. However, Ling Xiaoshuang frowned. Her sect's cultivation method was all about the heart, and she felt that Martial Sister Yu hadn't told the truth. However, she didn't say anything. In her eyes, Yemo need to be taught a lesson. Kill him. Kill him. Cultivators around them started cheering for Ipandai. Almost everyone was saying to kill Yemo quickly. Martial Sister Pandai, leaving such a shameless cultivator in the world is a harm. Just kill him, don't worry, I'm sure he can't escape, Yuan Guanan suddenly said. Ipandai glanced at Yuan Guanan. She knew that he meant she could attack full on. If she was in danger, or this Ning Xiaoma tried to run away, he would attack. However, she didn't reply. When the two were about to fight, a few more flying swords headed over. Martial Brother Xiaoma, I knew you would be fine. Thank God. Martial Brother Xiaoma, you're all right? This is great. Xiaoma brother. Yemo heard this and immediately knew Qingyi and the others were here. He felt some warmth, but didn't accept Xia Yushan to call him Xiaoma brother. For women had arrived. Everyone knew where they came from. They were sect members of the Clear Dream Mosque. 3 of them were nuns. Everyone was shocked to find that the nuns of the Clear Dream Mosque were with this shameless and lewd cultivator. Ipandai even forgot to attack and was confused with what was going on. Clear Dream Mosque had strict rules. How could their sects be associated with this Ning Xiaoma and be so intimate as well? The nuns of the Clear Dream Mosque who were already here also looked at Qingyi and the others in shock. Ling Xiaoshuang was even more confused. Her martial sisters greeted Ning Xiaoma before greeting her. Suddenly, she thought of the female cultivator she met at Truthfall City. After Ning Xiaoma got to her, she would rather cry and help Ning Xiaoma than... Ling Xiaoshuang didn't dare to keep thinking. She didn't believe that in such a short time, Ning Xiaoma had the means to get all of her martial sisters. Ling Xiaoshuang suddenly felt cold. If this really was the case, then Ning Xiaoma was too good with dealing with women. Seeing Yemo chatting with her 4 martial sisters, she immediately called out, Qingyi, what are you guys doing there? Hurry up and come here. Qingyi also noticed something was wrong. She looked around and saw Clear Dream Mosque's moon dual rings, as well as Yemo's flying sword, and understood something. She looked at Ipandai and asked, Martial Sister Pandai, is there some misunderstanding between you and Martial Brother Xiaoma? Martial Brother Xiaoma? Ipandai looked at Qing Han in confusion and asked, were you tricked by this hypocrite? He's lecherous and likes to abuse low-level cultivators. He's not a good person. Why are you calling him Martial Brother Xiaoma? Ipandai didn't know how to speak and had already offended Qing Han in them. Hearing this, Qing Han's soft voice turned cold. Ipandai, what do you mean? You not only frame Martial Brother Xiaoma, and you do that to us as well. Is the Heaven Star sect very great? You can speak without being responsible for your words? Yemo saved them by risking his life, and they had been with Yemo for more than a few days. The 4 were very grateful to Yemo. Yemo was always respectful to them, He was nothing close to lecherous, but now Epandai framed Emo like this. Plus, Epandi's words meant that they were staying with a lecherous person. Didn't that imply they were lecherous too? Epandai also realized her words were inappropriate. Ching Han was from a 9-star sect, while she was only from an 8-star sect, and at most had the title of South P State 10 Beauties. Just when Epandai didn't know what to say, Ling Xiaoshuang said, "Martial Sister Qingyan, you guys must have been tricked by that Ning Xiaoma. He's good at pretending. Hurry up and come back. Stop speaking for him." Ching Han was dazed. She didn't expect Ling Xiaoshuang to say that of Ning Xiaoma too. She was very disappointed. She knew very well what sort of a person Ning Xiaoma was. Martial Sister Qing Shuang clearly thought of Emo like this because of other people's words. Qingyi was a kind-hearted girl. She heard Ling Xiaoshuang's words and began to tear up. Martial Sister Qing Shuang, Martial Brother Xiaoma is really a good person. Don't wrong him. If someone is to start trouble with him, I will be the first to help him. I will help Brother Xiaoma as well. Xia Yushan immediately got up and said. Qing Yue, who never spoke, just stood behind Emo, and Qing Han released her flying sword. Emo suddenly felt touched. He just helped them casually, yet they were so thankful to him. This made him feel the warmth of friendship. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.